Absolutely. Absolutely. Look at that guy in the back lighting a match. Take it easy. All right. Look, it's Cinco de Mayo weekend, guys. I think that means that everybody had a great yesterday. I hope they did. Which, by the way, if you hear my voice and it sounds a little off, it's because, we went to this place. It was amazing. Legitimately some of the best food. They had a live band. Just to talk to the person next to you was like a screaming match on CrossFire. It was legitimately like that loud. So I hope I preserved my voice enough for tonight's show. But nonetheless, guys, I want to say thanks for everybody being here. We are waiting on the Great Crap Gamer and the Great Gaming Forte are both en route. So I want to say thanks to them. They will be en route, so you guys see our special guests there. Before we get into introductions to the panel, which, by the way, an outstanding panel set up for you guys tonight. And, news didn't really break this week until about 48 hours ago. So I'm very, very humbled to be able to have this news that broke over yesterday and rumors that broke as of this morning. A little bit more serious in the news department. Shout out to these great guys. By the way, please, Sebastian, thank you so much. Please take a second, guys, and hit that subscribe button. Mooch is trying to get up to that 11,000 mark. Help him get to that 1-1, will you? By the way, shout out to the great Jay Barry, who's a panel member. Welcome to the major Mooch Maniac family members. You guys are fantastic. Every one of you guys is fantastic. Means the world to me. By the way, if you want to know how Jay did that, right above that beautiful, glorious description down there below, you see a join button. If you'll hit that join button and join the family, it would mean the world to the Mooch, guys. It really, really means a lot to the show. And it means so much that I want to call each of these individuals out one by one. I'll start with the great Sir X-Man, JudaZuk, WoolleyGamer, Frostbite Slash, MumbleRanting Gaming, Tyson Web 509, TrueWiddy, Kn1ght Ripper7, Big Chuck 777, Alphonso Carter, who I saw in the chat, BRAP, who's taking the week off, Jamie, Damion, CJUK, the great Jimmy Harrison, who's here, Zombilla Ice Cream, Andy Hart, Replicant, our major Mooch Maniacs, of course, our newest one, Jay Barry, Domino Zero, SupremeSamurai, Who Are You 5, your boy Roy, Smokes 901, Tactical Gamer, Donnell Brown, That Guy Smitty, 4-Star General, and the great Brian B, a.k.a. Delirium Blades, and our VIP Mooch Maniacs, Shadow Assassin, Rated D Demonic, Strictly Gaming, Strictly! Shout out to Strictly. Great guy out there. I didn't even realize this, but on Twitter he said the other day he went to Dubai. Strictly, next time you go to Dubai, somehow get Mooch a ticket, please. Shout out to the wise old gamer, the great Percolator 9000, and our honorable mentions. We miss you. You're out there without food, water, or toilet. The great Olamoka, Fork Boy Gaming, Marty Bison, the great Marty Bison, where are you? Brian Carter, Gaming with Persona, the other part of the Whoops crew, and Remarkable Nights, and our forever Mooch Maniac Longshot 316. I want to say shout out to a couple people I see in the chat. I see Domino Zero. I see WoolleyGamer. Mooch Maniac family member was on last week. Shout out to Zuby Tech. Zuby Tech is here, guys. You don't understand. He's overseas. It's late over there. God bless you guys. I really appreciate it. Guys, let me get to this panel real quick. As we wait for Crap and Gaming Forte to get here, I'm going to go ahead and start introductions off with a man that needs almost no introduction at all. You guys know him. I once said that Jay Barry was the leader of PlayStation Nation. He said, whoa, pump the brakes, Mooch. Calm yourself down. So what I think we do have here is one of the representatives from the panel himself. The great J-Dub City's here. Jay, it's tough to get you on the show, buddy, because you do a lot of other shows. Not just that, but you travel, you work hard. But I appreciate you being here tonight. How you doing this evening, buddy?
Doing pretty good, man. Hey, Mooch, a lot of people didn't know, man. I've retired.
Huh?
I've officially retired. These are my going away shows. These last couple of shows tonight and tomorrow on What's Up PlayStation. I will be there, and
Yes.
I may tackle another show or two. But yeah, I've officially ascended to the cream of the crop, and I'm just gonna just kind of chill out and retire on the beach with my PlayStation 5 and
Nothing wrong with that.
Enjoy these games.
Nothing wrong with that at all, Jay. Actually, I love the sound of it, to be honest with you. It sounds like a great retirement. Now, don't forget a couple bottles of alcohol I hope you bring with you, just to keep,
yes.
Please.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Please. Speaking of What's Up PlayStation, let's get right to it. The man himself is here tonight, Jay Barry. One half of What's Up PlayStation airs 11 a.m. Eastern Time, Saturday mornings. With the great Gaming with Persona. Jay Barry. Barry, welcome back to the show, buddy. How are you doing this evening?
Yo, what is good, YouTube? What's up, PlayStation Nation? Jay Barry here. And I'm back on CrossFire, here to give you guys greatness once again. Listen, you guys, I hope you're ready because this is the PlayStation Nation takeover. You know what I mean? The bots, when they saw the name on the list, they said... But listen, guys, if you respect gaming, you will understand where we're coming from. Understand our sentiments when it comes to gaming. But yo, Mooch, I appreciate the invite.
Always.
It's good to see my man J-Dub in here, man. Yo, I didn't know J-Dub was a time. What? You know what I mean? And we also got the second best list on YouTube. My bro Chris Righteous as well, man. So it's gonna be a great one, man. I'm excited for this.
Well, speaking of that, Jay, I appreciate you doing half of my job for me. I truly do. The great Chris
Righteous.
I
apologize.
No, I meant that sincerely. When someone can do something for me, yeah, it's Moochie. I love it. Jay, I appreciate that. Shout out to the great Chris Righteous who's with us. Saltiest Gaming Podcast. You guys might know him. Very bold opinions. Love his takes on Twitter. The man is with us tonight. And, Chris, I don't think there's a better night I could have got you back on the show. So, to be honest with you, welcome back. How you doing this evening?
Hey, yo, shout out to everybody, man. Shout out to Jay Bari, Mooch, Crap, Forte, hit the like button, all the viewers and stuff like that. But yeah, just like Jay Bari said, man, I'm the second best list. And I agree with you, Mooch. I'm glad that you invited me at this point in time because, yes, I am a huge PlayStation fan. But I would say equally, right, I'm just as much of a fan as Square Enix. I'm a huge Square Enix fan. So I believe I have a lot of, kind of insights and inputs when it comes to that. So,
Chris, I'm glad you're here for that because that is a major part. That's a major part of tonight's show. So, and without further ado, guys, let me say this much. He was on his way. I told you he would be on his way. The great Crap Gamer is here, nonetheless. And the great Forte. Crap, how you doing tonight?
Good.
You and Forte must have came in the same car. You literally popped up at the exact same time. It's awesome.
Hey, it happens, man. It happens. So, yeah, I'm glad to be here. Looking forward to jumping into some of these topics.
Yeah, should be good, Crap. Should be good. I am looking forward to hearing what you got to say. And also, of course, the great gaming Forte's here. Forte, listen, I know you're just getting off of a late DPS podcast last night. Went to work all day. You didn't even eat dinner yet. And you sat down with us here. So, Forte, I want to say thank you for all that. But welcome back to the show, buddy. We've missed you over the past couple weeks. How you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Wow. Just a lot of stuff to talk about, man. And definitely good to be back on CrossFire for the first time in a couple of weeks.
It's been a minute.
Shout out to the homie Jay Bari and J-Dub, who's been ducking me forever because I haven't argued with this man in it seems like over a year.
Absolutely.
So
I'll be honest with you guys.
This is gonna be a great show.
I'll be honest with you. I know everybody, and you guys all have the topics. I don't really think that anything on the topics is necessarily even kind of debate mode. I don't know. We'll see. I really just think it's really good news that kind of a lot of it's rumors, some of it's news that broke over the last 48 hours. It wasn't a huge news week. But let's start with games talk. So Jay Bari, I'm gonna put Jay Bari literally on the hot seat start. I'm going to say it wrong again, so pardon me, everybody. I apologize in advance. But To Yomi? Am I saying it right, Jay?
Correct.
Thank you very much. That game came out May 5th, okay? Cinco de Mayo. And I know that the great Jay Bari's been posting clip after clip after clip on Twitter. So what I wanted to do for everybody is get a chance, and I'm also going to be a part of the audience here, Jay. I want to hear what are some of the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to track. Because in all honesty, there's a lot of different reviewers out there. I've watched some of the smaller channels, some of the larger channels, and it's really kind of mixed. And they're all kind of saying similar things, but I want to hear from somebody I know personally who's been playing it. Jay, what's your take with the first 24 hours in this game?
Yeah, so for me, I personally, I'm loving this game, to be honest with you. That first impression, I was like, okay, this is a cool game. I like the cinematic presentation that is offering here for an indie game where, they have some of these beautiful scenes that's happening in the game.
Yes.
And as you traverse throughout the world, it's like that God of War kind of camera angles. So it wants to pretty much focus on one shot as you move around, but it's doing it a great job doing it. Similar to what you're showing right here with God of War. You're not jumping and all that stuff there in this game, but the camera angles is very similar. But the combat is really good. At first it's kind of stale, where you're just doing the basic square or just triangle, but as you progress and as you further explore in the game, you get different movesets and different skills and all that stuff, and you kind of become kind of OP. The enemies itself are brutal because I'm playing on the Ronin difficulty, which is the hard difficulty.
Right.
And enemies can sometimes one-shot you. If your back is turned to an enemy, depending on where your stamina gauge is at, it can one shot you at times on that difficulty. But yeah, the more skills you get, it gives you it incentivizes you to explore, so you can earn more skills and get the artifacts and all that stuff, and you become pretty OP in the game. I also like the storytelling as well. The story is really cool. It is told in like Japanese like voiceover, so you have subtitles that you got to read. But if you watch anime or if you just have been playing like Japanese games, you're pretty used to that already. But the story, I don't want nobody to skip out and like just skip over to the story, because like the game is called Trek to Yomi, so you're gonna be traveling through like what the Japanese like interpret as like their underworld, like their dark world or whatnot, and it's really really good, man. The lore, the music, the combat, it's really good. Everything comes together. Like this game costs like $20 on PlayStation, and you can play it on Game Pass right now. But
Yes.
I suggest people go ahead. It's definitely a highly recommended game for me, because if you want that challenge, this is that game for you.
So the challenge is
also-
there, because that was one of the things that people were saying, and shout out to Josh and a few of Salty to even mention it. People were saying that it was kind of the action, the mechanics are of a mid-tier, and I don't mean that in a bad way necessarily, but it didn't present itself as, it's kind of like a samurai limbo, right? I mean, that's what people are saying who haven't played it. What can you tell people that haven't picked up the controller to play this, Jay? What are they missing out on the action part, the action sequences that we're missing?
Yeah, like a game I love is like Ghost of Tsushima. I see a lot of people making the comparison because it's like samurai and whatnot. But when you look at Ghost of Tsushima's combat and what you can do outside of like the legendary tail skills, you pretty much are doing the same kind of things in this game, but you're just on a 2D plane when you fight. So every fight scene, the game has this mix of like 2D and 3D and all that stuff, but when you fight it goes into like this 2D half 2.5D plane. So you're not in like a 3D world like Ghost of Tsushima where you can just move around, wherever you want. But combat is very similar to like how you strike. You got to be very precise. You can't mash in this game. Like, if you're one of those people that like to mash and, slash your way through the things of smashing, you cannot do that. This game is very skill-based, where you got to be very precise on what you're doing.
Well, how's the camera, though, Jay? Because you made a reference to God of War, which just, ironically, is what I just beat it again the other day. And I'll be honest with you, the camera angles can sometimes be a bit frustrating. So is it similar in Trek?
No, like the camera is pretty much just like God of War. You know what I mean? Like, but when you get into fight scenes, it goes into like a 2D pane. So it's like side scrolling.
Okay.
And then you have to go, turn around or left and right kind of movements. But yeah, the camera, you shouldn't have any issue with the camera outside of the purposeful, put a tree in the path so it kind of block you in this space of the battlefield. You know how some of those games can be. But other than that, yeah, I think it's pretty good.
Salty says that the response on the parry is kind of lacking.
Yeah, so I got so this is something that I teach a lot of people when it comes to like gaming. It's like the parry is very similar to like Kn1ght. People say, oh, the parry in Kn1ght, it doesn't work. No, you got to learn the actual parry. So you're not parrying when the move is actual active, because a lot of people, a lot of games, they like to, pretty much just like, okay, hold the gamer hand where a move can be super active and it's pretty much hitting you, but you hit a parry button and it parries. Not in this game. So you have to hit the parry button, the L1 or whatever button it is on Xbox, as soon as the move comes active. They have like a visual cue. When the move is actually active, there's going to be like a little flash on the weapon. And when you see that flash, that's when you have to hit the parry. It works every time. It's all about the timing.
So now, is anybody else on the panel playing this? I know Jay was. I know Persona's playing it. Chris, are you buying this game? Did you buy this? I don't know.
No. I haven't played it. I haven't played it yet.
Okay, so Jay, let me go back to Bari. We'll kind of go here with this at this point. I know it's 24 hours. I don't think you've beaten the game yet.
I'm at the last.
Okay, so if you're in the last area, what would you give this game as a score right now, as it currently stands? By the way, you're not glued to this.
Yeah, like I hate giving scores to something
know.
I didn't finish.
I know.
But if I were to give it a score, I'm giving it like around a 7.5, 8 out of 10 for me personally.
Okay. No, I think that that's right up there with what I'm seeing with a lot of people. Shout out to Dreamcast guy. I actually reached out to him. I was talking to him about the game yesterday as well, and he had said it was a 7 for him. And
yeah, I mean, if you like the Japanese lore, if you like samurai movies, like the back in the day with Akira Kurosawa, the Kurosawa, how the effect that he does his movies, you're gonna love this movie. If you've been watching those stuff or you just like Japanese folk tales or lore like that, this is down your alley. And I think the combat is great because they do teach you a lot of moves. You might necessarily not use them, but I'm a type of person that I would use it because that's how I have fun. Like, I'm not just going to lock into this one move and keep it moving. I'm going to use all the stuff, try to do some stylish stuff as well. It has the room for all of that stuff. So, yeah, I'm loving it so far. And the boss fights is pretty good, too.
I want to go to Forte. Forte, I got to ask you a question here, and I really need your expertise in retail with this. One of the first things I looked at for Forte was for a physical copy of this game, and it's not available.
Yep.
Are you getting a lot of this a lot of customers coming in asking for this game, or because this is very cleanly, very elegantly stated that this is digital only, it really doesn't cross past your desk?
Well, it's kind of this game just released, so a lot of people, it really has to hit a lot of people's radar. But if you want to just talk in general, when it comes to a game that released that has a digital only footprint when it first comes out, that is a consistent thing that always happens. People come into the stores like, hey, do you guys have I just wanted to come and see if you guys had this game, and I'll look up and say, no, man, that's a game that you can only buy on the system. And that happens quite a bit. There's people that want to come into the store and then they'll say, well, hey, I'm really a physical type owner. I like to kind of own those games and stuff. And I always tell, I said, well, you can buy it on the system, or normally with games like this, because Sifu just had its release physical. I said usually about 5 to 6 months or 3 or 4 months after it comes out. If it's good, if a lot of people really like the game, they'll end up doing a physical release for the game. And then people usually just wait for that, because my store had quite a bit. I was kind of shocked how many Sifu pre-orders we have for a game that's already available for you to buy. But yeah, it's a consistent thing that does happen. It probably doesn't happen on the scale of what people think, but it does happen though.
It's funny you say Sifu, because shout out to Saltiest Gaming. He's in the chat. He said basically the same thing. He was saying that, Sifu for him is on a different level. That was in his opinion, that was a better game, better title. Of course, totally different. But when it comes down to it, I got to ask Jay Barry. Jay, are you giving people shit now? I've seen a lot of platinums for Sifu, and I saw the first thing, my boy Persona. I don't know if Persona's in the chat or not. He might be just lurking out there. Shout out to Persona. Persona.
Oh no, he's watching Doctor Strange.
Oh, is he? Okay, well, good, because then maybe he'll catch us on the replay. But J-Dub, you saw this, right? The first thing he says to people is, by the way, he says it so kindly too. He's like, what difficulty did you happen to get the platinum on? And then he does the Arthur gif. So shout out to Persona. Jay, is that not allowed on easy? What's the PlayStation?
No. Listen. I would never bash somebody on playing the game on easy.
No.
If you just want to have fun. But the only reason I would come and bash somebody is when they start to brag about how difficult the game is. I saw a specific tweet that Persona responded to, and I'm questioning it too, because I saw the platinum, I saw the trophy, and I saw that person beat the game and got the hardest trophy in the game at the same time. So beating the game age 25 and under is pretty difficult, especially your first playthrough playing the game. I'm just that's pretty difficult. From the date that I saw, because the physical edition just came out last week or whatnot.
Yes,
or
it was.
This week, right? This week it came out, and it was 2 days or a day that the person did it. I'm like, wait, that is the most difficult trophy to get. You have to know that game. So me seeing somebody beat that game the first time and get that trophy, that only tells me one thing, that now all of a sudden there's an easy mode in the game. You know what I mean? It just makes common sense that that's what the person was bragging about how difficult, because they was oh, I thought this game would be more difficult, after coming from Elden Ring or something like that. I'm like, yeah, you playing it easy.
Yeah. I mean, you could tell, right? It's out there. You could definitely tell. Shout out to the great Tactical Gamer. Remember, for 21 months, you guys don't realize when you're a family member that long, he's got his own room over the garage. It's not Tactical. He gives a website here. He goes, there you go, Mooch. You can pre-order the physical copy of track To Yomi. And I got to be honest with you, that's or it's Yumi, pardon me. Correct, Jay? Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yumi. Yomi or Yumi. You can say Yomi.
Okay, Yomi. But there it is. So apparently you can get a physical release. Forte, is there a physical release coming to GameStop?
I'm checking right now.
Look at this, guys. This is honestly some of the best service you guys can get on a podcast. I don't think it gets any better than this.
Yo, by the way, the physical for the Vengeance edition for Sifu is that steel book is godlike. Yo, I had to buy that myself. I was like, yo, this thing looks amazing.
Salty says that in his personal opinion, he thinks Sony should acquire Slow Clap, which is of course the developers of Sifu.
Yeah, they're a cool game. I like their first game, Absolver, and Sifu was a great game as well. You know what I mean? So like Sifu is like my second favorite game this year. That's saying a lot.
Well, you know, I think that when it comes down to it, I think that these games, especially when we go between major game releases, big AAA releases, these are the types of games that kind of hold us over for that month. Myself personally, I'm trying to go through my backlog. I'm still trying to. I'm dedicating the next month and a half to Elden Ring. Now that I'm done with all the, I finally finished Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, which by the way, a trophy's glitched, so I'm not gonna be able to get my plat. Until they fix that, which kind of sucks. I did all the side quests, and the last one won't pop. So it is what it is. What are you going to do? But nonetheless, I'm going on to Elden Ring, and then I don't know about you guys, but I've been playing this game, Blood Hunt, that Vampire Masquerade, and I know that Bari tried it. I know that Persona tried it. They both didn't care for it as much. I seen Salty playing it, Jez7780. I really like it, man. I think this thing's got legs, and when people say, Mooch, what do you mean by that? What I do mean is if you think about Dead by Daylight, I don't know if you guys remember that game. When that game came out, it was very shallow on content. Very shallow on content. This game has a decent amount of content, and they're saying it's really, really going to grow. It had over 30,000 people. I know people say it's not a metric they use. I do. So pardon me. But they had 30,000 people watching it yesterday on Twitch, and it came out a couple weeks ago. So when it comes down to it, I think this thing's got some legs. Really, really been enjoying it. Shout out to Gamer O'Malley. He says, whoa, we got J-Dub in the house. Give it another shot, will you? He goes, sup, Mooch. Gamer O'Malley, make sure that the super chat's working tonight, guys. Thank you, Gamer. I really appreciate that. That being said, I want to kind of get to the meat and potatoes of tonight. I wanted to start with a little gaming talk. Jay, thank you for that initial review. We'll say that much, Jay, till you get to finish the game. But I'm going to go over to Chris Righteous. Chris, you came on the show today, and the first thing he says to me before the show goes live is, Mooch, I'm really glad that I can come back on the show with tonight's topics because it's really kind of his forte, no pun intended, forte. But I want to say, Chris, what's going on when you hear the whole Square Enix and what they did with selling off the Western Division titles and studios, and now we see what's left? Do you think that this is something that, first of all, is it a good fit for Sony? Is it is it something that Square Enix is even going to do? They may still just stay independent.
Okay. So, all right. Where do I begin? So basically, okay. So yeah, when the news broke up, well, I was still up. You know, I didn't fall asleep till like early that morning, right? But I was still up at that time. So I saw the news when it first broke.
Yes.
And when I seen that, I was like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted Square Enix to do. This is what I've been feeling this way for a while, that they don't know how to really manage their Western studios, obviously, right? Because every game that they put out is a failure to them. Right, so they don't really know how to manage them and stuff like that, and it's putting a stain in their name. So they should really just sell them off and refocus back on, you know, what a lot of Square Enix fans love them for, which is like the Japanese side, right? So yeah, when I heard that, I was like, yeah, let's go. So, you know, and of course, everybody's talking about whether or not Sony's going to acquire them. Apparently, there's some rumors going around that
right.
that they're going to acquire them and stuff like that. And for me, yes, I want that to happen because I've been one of the vocal PlayStation fans, right? Like on Twitter and stuff like that, that's been like really talking about like my complaints about Sony's lack of first party Japanese studios and just their lack of first party JRPGs, right? And every time I point that out, you know, we got these new age, you know, the new age ponies or whatever, like I call them, because it's not the old fans, because the old fans, no, they agree with me.
Right.
They 100% agree with me, right? It's like the new fans always coming out and telling me, it's like, no, you know, JRPGs is niche. That's not, you know, that's not what Sony wants. They want the big AAAs and all that other stuff, even though Square Enix has the biggest like AAA JRPG, right? But in this niche and whatnot, which is really not true nowadays, because nowadays the genre is actually growing a lot bigger than what it was even in the 90s. A lot of people have this thing like when the 90s, right? Because Final Fantasy was the biggest thing back then, right?
Mm-hmm.
That the entire genre was just like this whole like it was just blooming and stuff like that, which it was, right? Then it fell off during the 360 days. But ever since last generation, it's just bloomed, right? Like a lot of new people are getting into JRPGs, franchises are being broken, right? Persona 5 broke records, Dragon Quest 11 broke records, Nier broke records, like all these games, Tales of Arise broke records, Shin Megami Tensei 5 broke his own records and stuff like that. So the genre is getting more and more popular, right? So Sony's always been a Japanese company, and they made Japanese games before. They got rid of Studio Japan, right? Because that wasn't working out for them, right? So since then, I've been waiting. I was like, okay, like, are they gonna buy somebody, right? Are they gonna start their own studios and stuff like that? Because Herman Host and his big forehead ass said last year that they want to expand in key markets in the Japanese, he said Japanese is still very important to them, but he also said like before that they want to expand in key markets, right? Japan is a key gaming market. It's one of the biggest, gaming markets that there is. That's a key market. But then all of the acquisitions has just been from either North America or Europe, which I don't have a problem with any of these acquisitions at all. But it's like, damn, you made 8 acquisitions last year and not a single one was in Japan and Asia. So how are you expanding in key markets globally, but you're not expanding in your actually, your own home region and stuff like that, right?
That's a good point, Chris.
So, yeah, exactly. So, and people were trying to tell me, it was like, nah, because the genre is niche and that's not whatever and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, so getting back to Square Enix, so them selling their Western studios, right? Because they don't know how to manage, which is funny because the CEO said last week that if Japanese developers try to go for more Western style games, that it doesn't work out, that they fail.
Mm-hmm.
You can also replace that with publisher. Square Enix was trying to be Sony 2.0, meaning that they were trying to find that, Sony, a Japanese company, but Sony found the biggest success with their Western studios, Santa Monica's, Naughty Dogs, and stuff like that. Square Enix was trying to replicate that themselves, but obviously they don't really know how to manage shit, right?
Right.
So they sold off Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal, which is better for those studios, right? And better for those IPs, because now Embracer Groups can bring back the IPs that we want back, like Legacy of Kain, and Deus Ex, and whatnot. So, yeah. So as far as Sony acquiring them, right? I hope, but there's some concerns with that as well. There's some concerns with Sony possibly buying Square Enix. There's also great things, right? More positives than concerns, but. My concerns is if Sony acquires them, right, Square Enix, will Jim and Herman, if they're on their PlayStation, will they still greenlight the small projects that Square Enix has been coming out with alongside the AAAs, which are the Triangle Strategy, the Bravely Defaults, the Anunnakis, and the Lost Spheres, and I'm playing Triangle Strategy right now. It's a phenomenal game. I love it. It's a tactics game and stuff like that, right?
Right.
So. Do they still care about that? Because all these new age PlayStation fans, new age ponies will come after me and say Sony doesn't care about smaller games. They only want the AAA games, which is funny because they're funding smaller games like Kn1ght and Sifu, you know what I mean, and things of that nature. But they're just not doing it for some reason. They're not doing it in Japan. It's like they're showing China more love than Japan. There's a China Hero Project. Where's the Japan Hero Project? You know what I mean? It's like they're showing. They did a state of play a couple weeks ago with like the Japanese publishers and everything like that. But if you really look at all the games, like the main highlights as far as the ones that are more Japanese centric was like Dio Field and Valkyrie Elysium and stuff like that. Before that, they showed like a first person shooter Gundam. They were showing they showed a Trek to Yomi game. They were showing Forspoken, right? It is made by one of the Japanese developers at Square Enix, Luminous Productions. But the writers of the story and stuff like that are all, like Amy Hennig and whoever the other guy is, right? Western writers. So it's like, I hope Square Enix wasn't throwing them under the bus when they were talking about Japanese trying to make Western style games and whatnot.
Well, let me ask this. I want to get the other side, Chris, and you're going to get the mic back because we're not leaving this subject here. But I want to get the other side of the coin because you said something, Chris.
I wanted to get the positives as well too.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead. Because I want to, before you go into another one, speak the positives. I want to go to Crap after this because he had a good couple of points today too on this. Go ahead, Chris. Finish up. My apologies.
Yeah, so essentially it's like, do Jim and Herman care about the smaller games at Square Enix, right? That's essentially what they come down to. But I feel most likely if they do acquire them, which I think that this is the most likely case, is that Square Enix is just going to operate on their own and still be able to publish games probably on the Switch and stuff like that. You know, like Activision is still going to publish games on PlayStation and things of that nature, right? Because the biggest markets of these smaller games is in Japan, and Japan is 80% Switch. So that's where that's why they're getting those exclusives, like the Octopath and stuff like that, right?
Right.
And you know, and they're not, and for some reason, and that's another thing, like for some reason, Sony, they haven't negotiated a deal with Square to bring Octopath or to even bring like Bravely Default or to bring, you know, they're not doing deals with this those indie JRPGs like Sacrifice and stuff like that. But my bad, like getting back to the positives will be like, if they still allow that to happen, then obviously Square will be better, right? Square will have the resources at PlayStation under Sony's management, because PlayStation, they know how to manage studios. They bring studios in and makes them better, right? Unlike they're just the best at doing that. Not Xbox, not Nintendo and stuff like that. So they'll, you know, make them better, manage them better and stuff like that, so they don't come out with duds like Babylon's Falls and things like that. You know, and if they, you know, allow for these games and stuff like that, I just hope that these new age PlayStation fans that keep telling me that nobody really buys into this genre, I just hope that they support these games too. I'm going to support it. Barry's going to support it, right? Persona's going to support it. But all these other people that, you know, like they were mad at Japan Studios closing, but did you buy Gravity Rush 1 and 2? No. So like, what would you mad for and stuff like that? So that's really the only thing. But nah, I see this as a good thing all around, because if they do, that means that they still care about like the Japanese market, because they just bought like the biggest publisher over there, you know. So
right, and and shout out to TrueWiddy here. He says Square still owns Western IPs like Outriders and more, so there's still some Western IPs out there. So shout out to TrueWiddy for that point. That is very true. Crap, you know, you brought some. You heard what Chris said. What's your take on the other side of the coin? Do you think that this? First of all, it's all rumor based, so it's not like it's going to happen. But we know that they sold off Crystal Dynamics, right? They sold off Tomb Raider's IP and a few others there. I believe also Eidos Montreal and Deus Ex. Do you think that it's a good thing that they split it up that way? Because, like, in Chris's opinion, that's better for those developers. Maybe that's the case because Square is more focused on the JPRG or that on the Japanese developer market. And do you think that if Sony acquires Square Enix, that they'd be better off the way it is now, or they would have been a lot better off if they had the Tomb Raiders and the Deus Exes?
I think they would have been better off if they would have had Tomb Raider. Like for me personally, that would have been an IP worth something, because it doesn't look like they're going to do any more Uncharted. I don't know, you know, and they've already announced another Tomb Raider. So I think that would have been a cool thing to kind of maybe take the place there, you know, or add that to the stable. The thing that I would say is a little bit strange now is you've got which is different now with these kind of purchases. First thing you'd have to ask is, would Sony be able to make anything exclusive anyway, right? Like the FTC is getting involved with everything, it seems, and they don't want anything that's not, you know, to be exclusive. Like they're probing the Bungie buyout now. Oh, okay, they said it's exclusive. They're not going to be exclusive, but are you sure? You know, they're, you know, same thing with Microsoft. So would it be? Like, what would be the point of buying them if nothing's going to be exclusive anyway? So, like, I would first, that would be the first question that I would ask. The second thing would be, like they've said that they're interested in NFTs and stuff like that. So that would kind of go against Sony buying them anyway. It makes sense that Sony would, right? But only to me, it would only make sense for Sony to buy them if they could get exclusive games from them. You know, if they're going to keep everything multi-plat, then you were going to get it anyway. Right? Like I don't understand this fascination with like the consolidation. Might as well stop at that point when these companies can't get exclusive content out of it.
Now let me ask you guys a question. I'll throw this volleyball up there for you guys. When it comes to a Square Enix deal where it's Sony and Square Enix, does that may not even fall under the FTC's regulations, because that's a foreign purchase.
It is, but there's still product here.
Yeah, but it's not under their rule of thumb.
It could be why they dumped the side that they did.
That's my point. That's my point.
Yeah,
I mean, that was my point.
Yeah, I mean that could be a reason why they did it, because they knew it would be, you know, have trouble, you know, kind of circumvent it. You know, that could certainly be the truth as well. So You know, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. Like, you know, I don't know. For me personally, like I've never played a Kingdom Hearts game, so that's
Right.
not, I guess, and they've already got Final Fantasy on lockdown anyway. It's a little bit baffling, I guess.
Yeah, no, and I want to say shout out to Upchuck Game. He says just showing the love. Andy Hart, by the way, I did see your other super chat. Thank you so much, guys. He said, is anybody liking Trek to Yomi? We already talked about it. Jay Barry's loving it. No one else on the panel has actually been playing it yet, Andy, so I hope you're enjoying it. He comes back and says, loving the visual style of Trek. Definitely a hidden gem. So shout out to Andy. Andy, I appreciate your comments on the game. J-Dub, I got to ask you, you've heard Chris Righteous, you've heard Crap. What do you think the whole, like, synopsis here? The only thing that I would say, as I gave a clear standing point against Chris's thing, I only think Crap is I do believe not only the reason being the separation due to the possible FTC interference, but also I firmly believe another Uncharted is in our future. So having Uncharted and Tomb Raider is like you being this multi-million-dollar guy crapping you want to buy a Wendy's and a Burger King. When you don't need two burger joints. Get a burger joint and then go get something else. Go get a Chick-fil-A. So
But I mean, Tomb Raider's going to be on there anyway. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like maybe you could have had those alternating. Like they've already announced a Tomb Raider. We've had maybe possible rumor that we get an Uncharted at some time, but that's not a fact. You know, like
no,
I would love for them to come out and say, "Hey, you know what?
Just
like I just got done beating. Yeah, I just got done beating 4, the remaster.
Oh, nice.
And it just reminds you how good it is, right? Then you're like, I can't believe this game came out. 7 years ago or 6 years ago. They would make a new one. You know, like that's the thing. But even if they started tomorrow, you're looking at 3, 4, 5 years. So, it's just to me that's how I kind of look at it. It would be nice to have something, a little bit sooner than that.
No, I can hear that. Now, Jay, what do you think when you hear about all this? There's been a lot of talk about Square Enix going to Sony now for a while, so I can't really say that the last 24 hours anybody fell out of their chair. But J-Dub, what do you think when you hear about something like that? Is this something that you think is a smart move for Sony at this point, or should they use the money remaining on a Capcom, a Konami, a Kojima?
No, I think a lot of people aren't looking at it this way. You got not just Microsoft and Sony vying for these studios. You have Tencent and recently, what was the name of the company that just spent $300 million on this? What's the name of the company? Starts with a G or something.
Mid-Bracer.
Yeah. Like,
Embracer.
So you got he called it Mid-Bracer. Yeah. So there's other people out there that's looking to buy this stuff, and I think Sony wants to go ahead and stop dating and go ahead and marry. But at the same time, Mooch is right. You already got the Tomb Raider S-type games with Uncharted and the variants of that. You got your Horizons, right? That's in that similar fashion. You don't need multiples of that. And so I think, and I'll be honest, I think it's a done deal. I think what part of the deal was, Square Enix was going to sell off the stuff that Sony really didn't care about and need, and then they were going to the rest, the stuff that they really care about, the Kingdom Hearts, the Dragon Quest, the Final Fantasies, and so on and so on. That's what Sony's kind of have had in the bag. That's what they've been dating for the last couple of decades. Now they're gonna go ahead and put a ring on it, and I'm all for it, man. I can't wait. Did you guys see that Kingdom Hearts trailer, the next generation, running on the PS5? That in itself was very telling to me, right? That was very telling. On top of the Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2, on top of the Final Fantasy 16 being exclusive, on top of the new Dragon Quest, I forgot what number they're calling it now, X14, whatever. I think it's a done deal.
Well, Jay, let me ask you a question. This is something I get asked all the time on Twitter, and I hear it every once and again. Shout out to Capone. He says, Mooch, if Sony bought Square, what would change? I get where he's coming from with that on a top level, but if you just peel the onion back one layer, the fact that a lot of the Square games have come for a timed exclusive to PlayStation, this would lock it. And Crap has been very vocal about this, which he's made a very good point, by the way. If you're going to start to spend money on these teams, you better sure as hell lock up the IP. So in the case of like what's going on with Bungie, in the case of what's going on with Activision, those are situations where those are large IP that are dedicated across the two platforms and generate hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue, whether it be from skins and map packs and all sorts of different things that are going on, expansions. This is a different situation, right, Jay? So I think that's the way you have to kind of look at an acquisition like Square.
Well, and if you look back at it, let's go back to what is it? Starfield? Let's go back to that. There were rumors that Sony was trying to get that as an exclusive from Bethesda in the first place, right? And so they kind of missed out on that deal. I think that solidifies them if they go ahead and lock it up. They don't have to worry about that type of situation where they're in talks on getting a deal done as far as exclusivity or time exclusive, and someone comes and buy the IP from under them. I think they learned from that scenario. And again, they don't want Tencent and other people to get it because that erases that exclusivity, that jacks up the price if they want an exclusivity. And again, they're fighting the behemoth of the industry with Microsoft and its unlimited budget. So they have to do it.
They have to make strategic buys, Jay. They have to make strategic. And I think that what we were saying with Crap a second ago makes a lot more sense now. We've all speculated about this for weeks, right? We've been talking about it on various different podcasts. You've got a situation here with Square now, and then there's Capcom, there's Konami. When it comes down to it, the FTC is going to dabble now anywhere it possibly can. And I do think there's a massive difference here between $68.7 billion and $3.6. But I do think the FTC should do their due diligence. And I do think that they should look into it. If you're going to scrutinize, you got to scrutinize across the board. So
absolutely, they have to, Mooch. They can't scrutinize the Blizzard Activision and turn a blind eye to Sony and their acquisitions and everybody else in there. They can't. So even if just to save face for the FTC, they're going to do it. And so any deal going forward we're going to be seeing these same articles no matter what it is. Ultimately, I do think that the Blizzard Activision deal is going to get approved. I think this Bungie deal is going to get approved, and I think this Square Enix acquisition is going to get approved. That's just kind of, and again, take it for face value. These companies, Microsoft, they know, right? They knew going into this, they were going to have to say, hey, we're going to keep this stuff multi-plat. So FTC, please don't block this. We promise, right? We promise to you. But once the ink is on the paper, once it's approved by the FTC, that's it. You can't force a company to do something with a private owned, with their business structure. You can't force them.
No, they can go. They can go back and look at it, though. They can go back and look at it.
They can, but they can't make you sell it after you already bought it. Once they approve it, that's it.
They're already trying to untangle other ones that were done inside of it. Not even in this industry. They're trying to undo other things on the back end anyway. I mean,
Listen to what I'm saying. Once you say I can acquire Chick-fil-A restaurant, and because I'm selling chicken, and later on I decide to start selling hamburgers to compete with McDonald's, you can't go and tell me that I have to change my business structure I think that's different. To not sell that. So that's the same thing. You either approve the deal or you don't. Once the deal is approved,
I think there's a huge difference between taking something from a platform and leaving it on a platform. If you're just removing a certain item from the platform, that's like it's selling something different, but it still can be served to the same people. That's the same.
But Forte, this is what's going to happen, right? Microsoft, right? And Microsoft is smart. They know what they're doing.
Well, Microsoft bought them. They're
going to tell if after the FTC approves it and the FTC comes back later on and say, hey, you promised that you would keep this multi-plat. Satya can say, well, we will have an option. They can always accept our Game Pass on their platform, and they have to pay us 30% in order to put it on their platform and where we get the money. Right? There's stuff like that that's going to be advantageous where those little loopholes that these companies are smart. They know what they're doing.
It's funny, though, because they do say that, Forte. We had Microsoft come out and say, basically, and I know that everybody was damage controlling and say, oh, no, they didn't really mean that. They've said that Call of Duty will remain beyond contractual obligations on multi-platform. And not only that, they want to even experiment and go on Switch.
You know why? Because they don't care. Because Call of Duty wasn't the great white whale in that bill. It was getting King.
It was getting King. Absolutely.
King was the thing. If they had to sacrifice Call of Duty to be able to go everywhere and stay there to get King, they were going to do
Everybody that keeps thinking Call of Duty is the real, like you say, the white knight in this is wrong.
Yeah, it's not. They literally went from being 0 to being in the top 3 to 4 in revenue earned when it comes to the mobile space overnight.
Yeah, overnight.
And
So
I think people keep forgetting, right? Microsoft itself, they want to be in the mobile space. That's kind of where their end game is on any and every platform. And just the deal that they did with Epic to bypass Apple and bring Fortnite right to the cloud to be able to run on any and everything, that shows you where their loyalty and where their future lies.
Mhm.
That's where it is. So while we're caught up in the hardware where it's going to be exclusive on Xbox or PlayStation, Microsoft is looking way ahead of that. They kind of really don't care because they know they don't make money on the hardware and things like that, and so they're focusing on the other avenues. And we need to take that into account as well.
You know, the other thing too, and shout out to it's GKNKO. He says, you know, Mooch, he goes, basically what'll happen is that, you know, the same thing that's going on with the Activision deal and the majority of the big games remaining multi-plat, the same thing would happen with would happen if Sony was to acquire Square Enix. No, multiple reasons, and it's hard for me to put it in just typing it into the chat. So I'm kind of talking to GKN there.
No, because their biggest games are exclusives already, like Final Fantasy and like Final Fantasy 16 and 7 remake. And they have exclusives on Nintendo as well, too. So
right, so they're not really ever taking it away from the Microsoft platform. Not just that, but you've got a situation here with ZeniMax and Bethesda, $7.8 billion deal. What was it? Am I right? Is my number wrong there? I could be wrong.
Yeah,
$7.8 billion deal, and those games are going to be exclusive. So if a $7.8 billion deal, we all know Square Enix ain't selling for that. So when it comes down to it, I don't think between what Chris said and the monetary value and the fact that it's possible that the FTC doesn't even get to engage with this transaction, I'm not sure about that, but we'll find out.
I was.
Can I bring up a point?
It would be up to like the Japanese government as well too. What they will have them do and stuff like that as well.
That is correct.
Can I bring up a point real quick? Can I speak from the heart?
Please, Jay.
Please do.
Please do.
Can I speak from the heart, Mooch?
Please. Yes.
Because,
absolutely.
You know, I'm seeing things. You know, people's questioning. They're baffled. They're kerfuffled. They're flabbergasted.
Baffled.
You know, when it was like, oh, why would PlayStation want to buy Square Enix? You know, they already got exclusives for Square Enix. Let me ask you a question for those people that's questioning that question. That's questioning the question of the question. Why did Microsoft, Xbox, purchase Coalition?
Right. Yep. Yeah, because
y'all make simple matters into rocket science, and it's not even rocket science. It's very simple.
It's true. That's a great analogy because that game was always Gears was always just going to be on Xbox. So why would they go and buy the IP and all that dev talent?
Exactly. The thing is, PlayStation, like J-Dub says, they see what Microsoft can do. They see what Tencent can do. They see what these other companies can do. They want to lock down IPs. PlayStation also made it very, very clear, like 4 or 5 years ago, they making it a big emphasis now when it comes to their services. You know what I mean? When you own these IPs, you can put these things in the services to make it more of an incentive to guess what? To subscribe.
Absolutely.
To go into their PlayStation store.
Yep.
Square Enix is something that I've been saying for years now. There's 2 companies that said PlayStation need to buy. And it's always been Square Enix, and it's always been Arc System Works. Those are always my top 2 where I said PlayStation, I feel like they need to buy. And just hearing this rumor, just seeing the whole, Embracer Group acquisition with the Western Studios, it just quenches my heart. You know what I mean? Because we're that closer to getting this thing done, where we have a PlayStation X Square Enix. Now, I think that they're going to do it independently, just like they're doing with Bungie. I don't think that PlayStation will be dumb enough to be like, okay, we're not going to put games on Switch or PC and stuff like that. I don't think it's going to be that way. But for anybody in here questioning, thinking that, nah, PlayStation can't make some of these games exclusive on their console with Square Enix, you are delusional. You are delusional.
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts 4 would definitely be exclusive. Absolutely.
You are delusional. You think PlayStation gonna put all that shit? They already got this shit exclusive now.
Exactly.
Well, Jeff
Semi-exclusive.
Grubb, shout out to the great Jeff Grubb. He says because Final Fantasy 14 makes a lot of money.
Yeah,
And it does. It's
It
That's
makes
a
so
live
much.
service- that's a live
It
service
makes so
game,
much
right?
money. They gotta
Great point, Jeff.
they gotta shut the service down or shut the new purchases down because the capacity is too filled up.
Yeah.
That's
And
what's-
Walker got sold out digitally. How do you sell out digitally?
And keep
You know-
in mind, guys. Keep in mind, Sony is investing in these studios in these I guess the acquisition for the actual people, right? The actual people who know and have worked with live services type game. That's part of the reason they bought Bungie, because these guys know how to operate live services games and be good at it. And so with that being said, they bought them, and now they're going to start dabbling in getting other live services games. Let's say this deal goes through and they do. Now they own, now they own Final Fantasy 14, and they're going to have to support that. They're going to have to keep that up. Raymond's studio, I think, is making a live services type game and some other stuff. They're dabbling into that.
Deviation.
They're doing it. They're going to need, the deviation. They're going to need people that know what the hell they're doing. They just not going to buy all of these studios, something that they've never dealt with, which is a live service game, or been successful at. They're going to have to need somebody. They're going to need somebody to know the market and know how to make it successful.
Let me get to a couple super chats here. We're not leaving this topic, and actually, I have another topic that kind of blends and marries into this one. So, guys, keep your thoughts because I want to get to everybody on the panel. But shout out to TrueWiddy. He says, to be honest, the FTC investigation is Microsoft's fault, in my opinion. Now, TrueWiddy, you're going to have to explain that a little bit more because I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that. I don't think it's any of that's Microsoft or Sony's fault. I think that's just part of the way that the FTC is supposed to do and handle their job. TrueWiddy also comes back. He says Sony could have gotten them. They would do a Tomb Raider movie. So, TrueWiddy also agreeing with Crap there and saying that wouldn't have been a bad thing. Would not have been a bad thing if they acquired Tomb Raider and Crystal Dynamics. Shout out to Gaming Persona, which, by the way, Gaming Persona is supposed to be watching a movie. He's so into this, and it's all in caps. So I'm going to say this as loud as I can. Who's yelling? He says, first they said PlayStation has forgotten Japan. Then rumors of acquiring one of the most legendary Japanese devs in gaming history. And these people are saying, why? Fuck out of here, I think is what he's trying to say. So
I don't
shout out to the great
why,
Persona.
because like I said, it will definitely benefit both Square and Sony. And then also, like what I was talking about earlier about, Sony used to do first party JRPGs. Now Square Enix can do Legend of Dragoon remake, right? Or they can do Wild, have Team Asano do Wild Arms or some shit like that. So
yeah.
Shout out to Game of Persona. I hope he's enjoying the movie. Magnum Visuals is here. He says Sony's benefit for owning the IP is that even though they will be multi-plat, they can dedicate how long they are exclusive to PlayStation before going to others. So Magnum, if you're talking about Square Enix, I really think that Sony's going to, and again, I gotta give Crap credit here. If you're gonna spend money moving forward, Microsoft with Activision, everything stays big game, not everything. Big games stay multi-plat. Bungie deal, Destiny stays multi-plat. Maybe even their next couple of games, multi-plat. Fine. Totally buying in on all that. But eventually, Sony's got to spend money on IP that's going to house their platform. So I don't think you're going to see anything from Square Enix going over to Xbox. PC? Sure. Xbox? I don't think so. Same thing with Bethesda ZeniMax. C-Mad, he says the FTC can't block deals, and they don't approve them. They review them. Their only sword is filing a lawsuit should they feel an antitrust violation. Now, I'm not going to sit here. Listen, I didn't even stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night, C-Mad, so I can't pretend to be a lawyer tonight, okay? And we don't have the Xbox defense lawyer here tonight, so we don't know. We have no legal matters on the panel tonight that I'm aware of. Jay, maybe you may be the closest thing, but nonetheless, I think that when it comes down to the FTC, I think he's kind of right in the fact that they don't approve or disapprove, but they could file a lawsuit if they feel an antitrust is just. So I do believe that CMED is onto something, Jay.
Yeah, that's true.
That holds water. Jack, shout out to Jack Scott Cliff. Thank you so much for that super chat, Jack. That means a lot. He says, I'm a PC gamer, and I'd be very disappointed if Square Enix becomes PlayStation only and PC years later. It wouldn't budge me to buy a PS5 in any way, just makes me less interested to support their games. Nier is one of my favorite Square Enix IPs. I don't know, guys. Let me go ahead before I read that last super chat. What's
Sucks
the
to be
panel
him.
think? Do you...
No, I was
Well, besides that, Jay.
to that, I was gonna say he still got to, if even on PC, he still got to wait years. Final Fantasy VII Remake came out like 2 years later on PC. 16 is PS5 only at launch. It's not gonna come out till maybe like another 2 years. So he's
Good
already
point, Chris.
he still already has to wait on PC for these guys. And speaking of near launched as a PlayStation exclusive. It didn't come to PC. I think it was like what 6 months later, almost a year later, something like that. So
Yo, did he say he's a Square Enix fan
Yes, he did.
and don't have a PlayStation?
right.
That is also true. If I'm reading the one-line tweet, super chat correctly, I mean, Jack, he makes. I gotta be honest with you, Jack. Chris made a hell of a
Mooch.
point right there.
I'm gonna refund that super chat for you. This man full of shit.
I'm gonna refund that. Shout out to Jack.
I'm sending you 20 right now
20
just to refund. Just to be
Jay.
nice with the comment because this full of shit.
Shout out to Jay and Jack. Thank you.
Probably not the
TrueWiddy.
people PC stuff.
TrueWiddy
Sorry,
back.
Mooch.
It's
I'm
okay,
sorry.
buddy.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's okay.
Don't worry, you got your 20 back. I'm
Got
sorry.
that? Shout out to TrueWiddy. He said Sony will own the Final Fantasy MMO live service as well. I believe that's what we were talking. Come on, Jay, get out of here. You don't have to do that. He goes refund. I didn't know I had a refund button. Shout out to Jay Barry. Jay Barry,
I'm sorry, bro.
too kind.
Nah. Yo,
He said, give it back.
sometimes people would use the super chat just to
So Jay, you're
speak their bullshit.
So you're
And,
you're saying Jack
sounds crazy to me.
Jack hit a home run, but you're in the opposite of your favorite team's ballpark. You're throwing the ball back.
No, I'm not saying that he can't not like
No, boy,
Square
kidding.
Enix games or whatnot on PC, but like if you have such love for these type of games and you don't even have like a play, that's just weird to me. You know what I mean?
Well, I think, and shout out to Chris Righteous who came out real quick and
I bet he don't have a Switch either, right? Jack, do you have a Switch?
Jack, do you have a Switch? Just answer us. Let us know.
Did you buy a Triangle? Did you buy Octopath as well? If you're a big
Well,
fan.
no, I don't have a Switch.
Well, Jack,
You probably say I bought you. No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna. I wanted to kind of do the addition to this question to kind of just piggyback off of it before we change subjects completely. So here we are. We're talking about the possibility of Square. All right, fine. Put that aside. There's been a couple of articles out, and pardon me, I don't have them up right now. Maybe it was. Let me just look real quick. I don't believe it was these folks. No, it was not. Oh, yes, it was. Gaming Bolt acquiring WB Game Studios makes a lot of sense for Sony. Jay Barry, I'll start with you. Jay, is that something that first of all interests you? But even if it doesn't, does it make sense for Sony?
Absolutely makes sense with Sony. Like if they get the IPs.
The IPs are rumored to be they would be leased, so you would get the teams like Rocksteady, but then they would have to pay an additional charge to lease the titles.
Okay, so but regardless of how it is, I think it's beneficial for PlayStation because they have really good relationship with WB. When it comes to Rocksteady and the Batman games, there's always like being heavily marketed on PlayStation. The Mortal Kombat games heavily marketed on PlayStation. Now you have the Evo thing going on. You can just further, cement that bridge right there with a fighting game that you purposely like own, and you have your own Evo little tournament stuff that they always run anyway. But and PlayStation, they look like they're gonna take a lot of their IPs and try to branch them out in like movies and whatnot. And WB got a lot of good games where they can be like, oh, PlayStation do a Batman movie or PlayStation do a Mortal Kombat movie. You never know what they can do. Or look at Harry Potter. That's being marketed on PlayStation. I just feel like that one will make sense because that relationship is already there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that whole organic growth thing that they always say. I think that would be a perfect match for PlayStation.
See, what I thought, and I'll go to Chris Righteous here, but I got to say, the one reason that I would think, and mine's a top-level answer, I think that Chris and Barry and maybe even J-Dubs might get a little deeper into it. But since everybody was saying, oh, you've got the whole Marvel thing going on with Spider-Man, Futurist, the future bringing Wolverine, if all of a sudden they also had Batman, I mean, all of a sudden the Sony PlayStation, as far as a household name, it ends up being your comic book location for gaming, right? I mean, it's the place to be. I thought that's what would marry the two together. But again, I think the rumors that were out there were WB was looking for at the time, they probably want more now, $4 billion just for the teams and no IP. That seems like a hefty price to just have that kind of possibility in air quotes.
Nah, $4 billion without the IPs, that's insane.
It's lunacy. But that was what was on the table. You guys remember that? That was articles years ago.
Yep.
So I don't know if that necessarily. I know Sony probably definitely would not bite at that value. Chris, are you on the page with a WB joining Sony, or nah, not without IP?
Yeah, I don't know. Like without the IPs, it would just all be for talent. And I mean, WB would the studios like I think like Rocksteady and what's the ones that making Harry Potter? With the Avalanche.
Avalanche.
Yeah, NetherRealm. I think they'll probably fit good in Sony's lineup and for portfolio, especially with like Mortal Kombat because they, like Barry said, they own Evo, so I feel like they need their own fighting game representation and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure they'll probably negotiate deals with like Mortal Kombat and stuff like that, like to actually own the IPs. But as far as like the DC stuff, I don't know. But honestly, I'm at the point where it's like buy a Japanese studio or publisher first, and then everything else I don't care about. So that's what
I'm with you on that as well.
Well, that's why I have that down there. I mean, we don't know. I mean, is Capcom even? Are they a capability? I mean, shout out to Stony916. He says Sony should acquire NetherRealm Studios. Makes sense. They own Evo, and all the top FGC pro players from Mortal Kombat and Injustice play on PlayStation. That's where I thought another marriage there works. Same thing goes with Capcom and Street Fighter, right?
Yeah, Capcom 100% will fit. Like Capcom will always be like probably like my number one pick, like that, and Square Enix will be like one of my number one picks for like Sony acquiring.
Yeah, I do. Now, Jay, what do you think? I want to get Jay and Craps here before we kind of completely shift gears. J-Dub City, my
J-Dub. Listen, I'll be honest. Sony has a lot of studios. Microsoft has a lot of studios. They have a lot of talent that's already there, right? Whether you call them A team, B team, C team, whatever people like to use these days, they need the IPs. They need the name. They need to be able to do whatever it is that they need to do. And if you're just buying up a bunch of employees, right, and you're just taking on all that staff, but you don't own any IP to give them, it's kind of useless. You just you just turn into one big HR firm at that point.
Well, and I want to, first of all, Jay, great point on yours part. Shout out to Lord Dran in the chat. He says, listen to these guys. Buy this studio, buy that studio. Lord Dran, do you have a phone? Have you been on anything social media in the past 6 to 12 months? That's not what we're talking about. That's what they're talking about. And when I say they, I mean these big corporations, billion, trillion-dollar companies, and I'm talking about everybody that's in the gaming media. So it's not us that are saying buy this, buy that. We're reacting to what we're reading. So I don't know. Maybe he just crawled out of a hole. I'm not sure.
So the question is, because I agree, $4 billion and not getting any IPs is kind of crazy.
Right, Forte.
That's something that I wouldn't do. But what kind of licensing will we get here? Because they're not going to just sell lot, stock, and bond when it comes to like all of those like complete freedom like they have with Spider-Man, like where they can make a game and they can have creative freedom when it comes to movies too. So are we just talking about just the gaming side of it getting the IP? Because I think that's more reasonable when it comes to that. Because I think if you're talking about like everything, $4 billion ain't enough compared to what
gaming. Yeah.
If we're just talking about gaming and
the movie is a whole different ball game.
That's what I'm saying because we don't know. But is that the thing though? Is WB trying to like off all of it? Like they want to be done with all of it, like completely.
Okay, I didn't. Does WB? Well, they own the movie.
They own the movie rights to all that.
Okay, well,
they own like
everything.
Yeah, for like Shadow of War, like the all that stuff. They own the movie rights. They own the video game rights. So that's where it comes down to. Like when you say $4 billion ain't a lot for the IPs, I get that, but how much of the IP are you actually getting at that point? Do they still have control of the movie side of it? We know if Sony wants control of all of it, like they pretty much like how they have Spider-Man at this point, they're gonna spend way more than $4 billion.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
So, shout out to TrueWiddy. TrueWiddy also clarified his comment before, so I'll read that in a second. TrueWiddy says here, someone said WB wants out of the WB games and its DC IP. I have yet to read that, TrueWiddy. If you don't mind, on Twitter, if you link me that, I'll be more than happy to read at least the first paragraph, try to get the message across to the panel and to the chat. Jack comes back. So Jay Barry, the great Jack Sutcliffe, is back. He wants to clarify. Chris Righteous, this is also to you. He's saying Nier Automata released 2 weeks later on PC after PlayStation, and Nier Replicant was same day on PC and PlayStation. It may not be as hardcore Square Enix fans as you all, but these third-party titles have their place. Now,
I probably got that mixed up with like the Xbox. I know the Xbox came out like 9 months later or something like that.
But I don't think Sony getting Square Enix affects the PC market. We're in a different world right now. PC and console, like Xbox is going to launch on PC, and I think a lot of games possibly latter half of this generation, if it doesn't launch day and date on PC, it'll be 6 months later or 3 months later.
You know who it'll affect on the PC? It'll affect the big Square Enix fans on PC who also don't have PlayStation for Square Enix games or the Switch. That's who it'll affect.
Yeah, and I'm talking about the third-party teams that they acquire now. I think there's Sony. Well, then again, I stand corrected. If Square Enix does become a first-party team and those developers become a first-party team, in that case, then Jack's nightmare might come true. Where in the case where those games might get delayed now to 12 to 24 months. It's funny because everyone was like, "Oh, Sony's doing exactly what Xbox is doing." Yet all the games that come out on PlayStation are not on. They're not on PC yet. Nothing. Not the ones that are less than 12 months.
Yep.
I mean, everybody, do you remember when Demon Souls was coming out launch day? And I saw a bunch of people be like, well, maybe I'll hold off on my pre-order because that's coming to PC. They made an oops on that advertisement. That's one hell of an oops. I mean, we're going on 2 years. It's not on PC.
3 years. Going on 3 years.
You know, I mean, so I don't think, Final Fantasy as well. So, I mean, I don't think Sony's doing that. They know that they can do it when they want to. If they choose to change their mind, I'm not reading tarot cards. I have no idea. But I don't see that really happening. I do want to go back and help TrueWiddy out here because what he said earlier, I misunderstood, and he clarified it. He said, to be honest, his original one was, to be honest, the FTC investigation is Microsoft's fault, in his opinion. He clarified and said, Mooch, what I meant is Microsoft is the first company to buy a publisher. Now a second one, Android. They aren't done. That's what I mean. So I'm still a little bit confused with that. I understand your second one clear as a bell. I just don't know how that necessarily, what you mean by Microsoft making these big acquisitions has caused the FTC to step in. They should have been stepping in. They probably should have stepped in with the ZeniMax buy too, to just do due diligence. Not saying they should have stopped it, but they should have done their due diligence, which they didn't. But nonetheless, they can't go back. That's a done deal. I'm going to go ahead and just switch over, guys. I want to talk about, this is kind of something that's been kind of bugging me a bit lately, and it's been all over the place. Crap, I'll start with you because me and you are both in the same boat here. We play Halo, but we don't play a lot of Halo. And I won't speak for you. I'm just talking about in recent months. We said, and you've been a big proponent of this crap. You said just wait for season 2. Things are going to get better. Everyone's coming back. Well, season 2's here, and I'll be honest with you. I think I saw 3 people today. I saw more To Yomi clips than I've seen Halo this week in one day. So my point being is where is 343 on this? Is this something they can fix? Can they turn it around? Because now we got to wait 6 months for the next turnaround. That's a long time to wait again. Is Halo in trouble? I mean, let's just be honest at this point. Did I lose crap?
Crap just want to play Halo.
No, but I mean, what do you think, Crap? I mean, do you think Halo do you think it's in trouble?
I don't think it's in trouble. I think that it's just not where they want it to be. I think that they can obviously fix it, but I think the 6 month.
Hey, that's classic crap right there. That's classic crap.
I think the 6 month season thing is kind of lame, but that's not to say that they're not going to get anything content wise in between that time. Like if they can get their Forge out, that solves a map problem right there. Because what Halo has always done is you have people create the maps and the best ones end up in the rotation. Problem solved as far as that's concerned, but they do have a lot of issues that I've seen crop up and people not liking it or whatever. For me, I'm not a big on the multiplayer for Halo anyway, so it doesn't really matter to me. I feel like I got my Game Pass worth out of it. I played it, beat it, played some multiplayer, had some fun with it, and now I'm done with it. So like for me, the rest is just I see people talking about it all the time, or bringing it up to me. I personally don't care. I'm not playing it.
No,
You know?
and no, it's not. No, it's not a you problem because let's be honest.
Wait a
Even
minute.
forget the past couple months. You've never. I've been podcasting you for a long time. You've never been rah Halo anyway. So
Yeah, I mean, I like the campaigns. I thought the
but-
campaign was a big step up in terms of the story.
I like your point with Forge, but I'm going to speak for myself here. And please, guys on the panel, tell me if I'm full of it, or tell me what you guys do. Forge coming out for me. I don't look at community building like I think of the old days. Right now, I'm going to date myself. Remember Excite Bike? Used to be able to go in there and make your own courses. Yeah, mine sucked. Okay, my courses sucked. My friends' courses sucked. I wanted to play the courses that were made by, I think it was Konami. I wanted to play the courses made by the pros. And the problem here is now we're 6 months waiting again. So even if Forge does come, maybe that solves a lot of people's issue. Me, it doesn't. Like the 2 maps that came out, I heard they're okay.
They don't put everybody's maps in rotation, though. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just like it's the best of the best or whatever. So, and a lot of times people will modify a map that's already been out. Like I can remember, was it Ragnarok or it was known as something else? Like that got modified a couple times, and you know, and they did that. But also, like I don't think they're doing a good enough job listening to like the game modes that people want to play. I think that's a problem. They came out with the new Last Spartan Standing thing, and they're like, you can leave and you'll get your progress. Apparently that was glitched and wasn't true. So
Yeah,
they've screwed
I saw
up
that.
for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like not like they haven't screwed up, but if anything in gaming is true, is that the comeback is always right there, is only as far away as the next game or the next big thing. Right? Like anything can change. And look, Fortnite came out, we played it,
Yep.
we were like, what the hell is this? And then they came out with the the
Royale.
mode that we know now. Yeah, it was a single player game.
Yep.
I was like, this sucks. Right? So then they came out with the Battle Royale, basically cop stealing PUBG in a cartoon way. Right? So I'm like, okay, this is, weird, but millions of people love it. So it really kind of set up Fortnite to be this amazing thing. The Wii U, dunk, right?
Yo,
What
crap,
do they do?
Crap.
They come out with the-
Are you implying, crap, that Halo Infinite will get good?
I'm saying that there's the possibility for it to come back. I'm not saying it will. It's up to them. I can't like look into the
Right.
future. I wish I
Well-
could. It's totally up to them. But it's like, listen, this happens to everybody. Like, look, Gears of War fell off. I'm hoping the next one is better. God of War Ascension wasn't great, and then they came back with 2018, which was. So anything is possible in video games, right? So that's where you kind of always hold out hope. I remember people being really dissatisfied with Rainbow Six Siege, and that was like the most bare bones game ever, and they totally came back. And right now, that's like a game that's permanently in the top 10 on Xbox and PlayStation, and has been for years. So I think anything is possible. I think that really, for me personally, I don't play Halo multiplayer, so I'm not really the best person. If Xbot were here, he'd tell you. I guess he was telling me that he was enjoying it a lot, but I don't know personally because I don't play Halo multiplayer very much. It was a once in a while thing.
Well,
But, okay, let me ask you this.
go ahead.
Before Halo launched, let's say last year, before Halo launched, did Microsoft tell us that, hey, this game was going to be like this? Or, I mean, because you remember they gave us Craig when they first showed it, then they delayed the game a year.
Right.
And then they dropped the game, very little content. They said we were supposed to get these seasons every 3 months. The 3 months turned to 6 months for every season, right?
Right.
So, after spending, over $500 million on this game and extending it, now we're looking at, a total of 8 years, and we still have to say, well, the game will get good in the future sometime. We don't know when.
Well, maybe. We don't know.
Okay?
We don't
That's what
know
I'm
if
saying.
it will or not.
Exactly. That's my point. Is that okay with
that's
gamers?
up for the
Like,
that's up to the individual gamers. I'm sure some people some people will say no, and some people already jumped out. Some people are like, well, I'm gonna wait till Forge before I hop back in. I've seen that comment multiple times. Like, I think it really just depends on the person.
Forge is coming in December and a beta.
I don't know when it's coming.
It's coming in August.
August, yeah. Or the
maybe,
beta, yeah.
maybe if that's 6 months.
Nah,
yeah,
the co-op coming in August, and Forge
Yeah,
they
the
said like December.
yeah.
I think when it comes down to it, see, I'm not going to sit here. If a Halo fan right now is in the chat or listening later and says, Mooch, I'm a Halo fan and I'm enjoying it, I'm not going to take any of that shine away from what you're loving. That's fine. But see, I'm not that big of a Halo fan. I look at it more of just a responsibility, right? So here we are. we see Microsoft had, 5-6 teams at one time. Now they have 30-something teams. 18,000 employees. I mean, I'm off, but whatever the number is, it's up there. They have a lot of people that they just acquired, and this Activision deal just magnifies that. So when you have a situation here, like J-Dub just said, where you have a $500 million, $600 million budget, 1,200 employees, 6 years development time, 1 year delayed, then bumping everything out, and they still can't get things right. And then everyone's like, listen, guys, all these titles that are going to be with Microsoft are all in good hands. I'm just sitting here saying to you, I'm looking at the report card. It don't look so good. I'm not saying they can't. I'm like, crap, who knows? They might be great. But I'm looking and I'm like, this report card from Microsoft right now is a lot of C's and D's. I mean, that's their big...
I wouldn't judge, Playground Games off of what 343 is doing. You know what I mean? That would be silly.
But I could judge but here's what we could do, crap. We could say that Playground Games went to Phil, we know this, with an RPG they wanted to do. Phil said, no, you're going... And I'm this is all hearsay, by the way, folks, that you're going to do Fable. They didn't want to do Fable, so it could be mismanagement. And that's the thing I'm trying to say here. It's not necessarily, I think, Playground Games is extremely talented. Extremely. In car racing.
You're like, just real quick to paraphrase kind of what you heard. He didn't force them to do Fable. He said, would you like to turn that into Fable? And they said, yeah. It wasn't like they forced them to do it because they allegedly shopped around this RPG and nobody wanted to give them a chance because they had only done car games. And at that particular time, Horizon Zero Dawn and Zelda Breath of the Wild launched to a lot of success. And Phil was like, well, maybe, single player games still have a chance. I like Fable. How about that demo you guys showed me? Could you turn that into Fable? And they were like, yeah. So basically that is how I heard it anyway. Yeah. Like we probably heard it from the same person.
Oh, absolutely, crap. Yeah.
But it wasn't forced.
No, they're not going to say no.
Well, that's what I was going to say. They're not going to say no. They're just going to say, well, try.
They're going to turn down that.
We're going to try.
I think we need to relax because when the co-op comes for Halo Infinite, you're going to see a turnaround because I know for sure that's when I'm going to be playing the single player campaign or the campaign itself. When that
there you
co-op
go.
hits.
So we'll have one more person playing.
Jay will be on there.
Okay. Listen, I'll be on there. I've been waiting, for the co-op. Now, once we beat that co-op, because it's, let's call it, once we spend 6 hours beating that co-op, then what? Then it's back to dead time, right?
Yeah, back to that PlayStation.
Like, if you're a person that just wants to co-op the game, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I'm co-oping on easy mode too. By the way,
it's not crap. By the way, you don't have. It's not your place to have to defend it. You don't have to defend it.
Like when I bought Halo 3, right, and Halo Reach, and I played through the campaigns with friends, and that was it. Like that was the end of the game, just like I do with the Lego game, right? I'll play through it with and then you're done with it. I'm not ever going back to it. Does it mean the game failed because I only played it co-op? With my friend one time. No, I mean it's just people get different games for different reasons.
What I'm saying, no crap, is that when that co-op does drop, you're gonna see a lot of people streaming it, doing their co-op sessions and stuff like that.
Oh, I hope so, man.
It's gonna bring some livelihood to the game, and maybe
probably will. I mean, listen, I like the story, but like the open world stuff, I thought was pretty lackluster.
Right.
Like the fobs and stuff like that. Like that would have been. It seems like that was built for co-op. Right, and then there is no co-op, so it got boring doing the open world stuff. But I liked the actual story chapters, and I thought that it was well done. And I liked the story and how they kind of rebooted Cortana and stuff. Well, sorry, I didn't mean to give that away or whatever. I mean,
it's
you're
okay.
not really,
I'm with you. You're fine.
But they walked themselves. They really wrote themselves into a corner with Halo 5 with the story, right? Like they really did. Like. You can't kill off Cortana. It's just like, I'm a big Metal Gear fan, right? I thought Metal Gear Solid 4 was great, but I'm like, they really wrote themselves in the corner with having Snake be old as that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, where can you go from there? And so when they came out with other, Metal Gear Solid 5, it's not the same Snake, it's like kind of telling a prequel or whatever. So like they really, and could they do a straight up sequel with that Snake? Like, probably not. So you start to kind of wonder or whatever, like, what's going on? You write yourselves into these kind of corners, but I thought they did a good job of getting themselves out of that. And, hopefully, they can get it up and working. But am I like a big 343 fan? No. I think, for the amount of trouble that game was in, I thought they did a good job with it. But I also feel like it probably should launch this November, not last November.
Yeah.
And I said that when it launched. I was like, well, you're launching it without the basic features that every other Halo has launched with. That seems like a mistake to me. I get that the multiplayer is fun or whatever. And then everybody's like, well, just launch it with the multiplayer. And I'm not lying. Like, Forbes did an article. They should just launch it with the multiplayer now and blah, blah, blah. Well, listen, if you didn't have the content ready, like anytime a multiplayer game launch, in my opinion, they should have multiple seasons of content already ready to go before it launches so that you can continue to drop content to keep people invested. That's how this stuff goes. We're in a day and age where everything's a games as a service. Just look at Fortnite and these other games, how they're doing it. Copy that formula and do it. If you can't do it, then don't try it. Like, that's on Microsoft. And you know what I mean? In 343, I feel like 343 is in this weird situation where they don't have the freedom that their other developers, new developers that they bought have, right? They're basically kind of forced. And from what we've read, this is speculation, but they were kind of really wanting to get that out on the 20th anniversary, and they did. But now we're kind of they're paying the price for it. So.
Well, I want to say shout out to WoolleyGamer. He says sounds like an absolute flagship, Crap. But Crap's saying the same thing. He's saying that it's not. I mean, 343 probably should have waited till this year. I completely agree with Crap on that. I mean, that's hindsight, right? Monday morning quarterback. But I completely agree.
That's 20 years. That sexy launch date. It is. Right? 20 years.
Absolutely.
Anniversary of Halo. Here it is.
Completely agree. Shout out to Jeff Crump. He goes. Oh, go ahead, Crap. Sorry.
I was going to say, I thought the way that they launched it was bad, too. You got no hype that way, right? Well, let's release the multiplayer today, right? And then when the actual launch of the game, and it was like all different time zones, like 3 p.m. Eastern or whatever, that's not a Halo launch.
No, it's not. Not just that, but I got to be honest with you. If I'm Playground Games, I'm a little pissed. They literally cut the success that Forza Horizon 5 was dominating. There was nothing else out. People were loving it. It was all over the place. They launched that beta. And then it was just, I mean, you rightfully so, right? You can't blame anybody. Rightfully so. Yeah. Everybody jumped to Halo. So, I mean, it was like, why not wait, Crap? I completely agree with you. It wasn't that big
I don't get it.
launch. But shout out to
Mooch.
Yeah. What do you got,
Pass.
Jay? Games Pass. Absolutely. Absolutely. God bless it. Shout out to the great Jeff Grubb. He goes, Mother Effer said, Excite Bike. Yeah, I'm old, Jeff. I've always said the NES was my first. Well,
hey, yo, a lot of people in this chat was like, what? What did he say?
You don't know what Excite Bike is, guys? Look it up, please.
Come on.
Right?
Everybody knows what that is. Everybody knows what
I thought I was old, Crap.
We are.
Listen, I know that definitely puts a timestamp on it, but Excite Bike's a classic. I mean, you have to know what that is. Please look it up if you don't know.
Not these whippersnappers.
Shout out to C-Mad. He's back. He says, all deals over $100 million are C-Mad he must be in law school too. He says all deals over $100 million are reviewed by the FTC. ZeniMac was reviewed, and yes, FTC can go back. Facebook sued in 2020 over a 2012 closed deal. C-Mad, we got to get you on the show. Outstanding information coming from C-Mad.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier.
Oh, was that you? Did you say that too, Forte? I stand corrected. The great gaming Forte.
Oh, no. Well, he explained it, but that's what I was talking about earlier, where they can go back and do it because that's what I just couldn't remember the company. It was Facebook.
I didn't think you could go back that far.
Worth it if they don't really have a case.
Correct.
Right? Like there's not really. It's just a waste of money, and it makes them look bad when they do that. Right?
No,
like, this is
crap.
Well, they actually have a case.
They
against
have a
Facebook.
case, though.
They have a case against Facebook. That's why they're going back.
Well,
I'm saying with this.
No,
I'm saying like the whole Bungie thing. It's ridiculous.
It is
the
ridiculous.
Activision thing is ridiculous.
Well, they're doing their due diligence.
They're gonna check that stuff because
Washington doesn't know anything about video
themselves,
games.
The company themselves can be like, oh yeah, we're gonna put the games anywhere. That's just words hearsay. They want to see the books. They want to see everything.
They want to see you mean what you say. Yeah, that could very well be. Magnum Visual says because Xbox doesn't believe in crunch, they act like they are selling Kobe steak by pampering the devs. Magnum, I'm not sure where that fit into one of our topics, but shout out to Magnum Visuals.
From last week? What?
Was that last week? I don't know. I don't remember.
About
right,
crunch. I don't know.
That was a week ago, Magnum. Magnum might be on the wrong episode, but I appreciate him listening regardless. Shout out to the great Blaze 4K. This is for you, J-Dub City. You better have your ears perked up. He says, all my favorite real MFers are in the house. J-Dub, I'm calling you later. Pick up the phone.
He's going to be too busy playing, the flight simulator.
He's going to be playing his goatees. Shout out to Jay. Shout out to the great Blaze 4K. Thanks for the super chat, Blaze. Another paisano, my buddy. He's like an Elden Ring master, by the way. Shout out to Blaze. Appreciate him listening to the show. I'm going to go ahead and switch over here a bit here because it does kind of tie into the Halo stuff. And by the way, don't let me change subjects. If you guys do want to talk about Halo Infinite, please do. I wanted to just kind of marry it with the whole Paramount Plus spike in subscribers.
Oh
Well, here's my thing, guys. This is not about Paramount Plus. It's not just about Game Pass. It's not about any of that. These companies come out and they say these numbers, right? Paramount Plus is proud to announce we have gained 6 million subscribers. Well, yeah, I mean, Halo is a big name, right? It is a big, big name. They got people to go over there and check out season 1. So people bought a month or 2 months or 3 months or whatever it is, and they're watching it. The problem I have with all these subscription-based companies is they very rarely are announcing anything but positives. Everything's positive. Everything's great. How you doing over there? Great. Can't turn the lights on. Nobody's eating, but we're great. Okay, great. But the point I'm trying to make here is everything's wonderful. Do you guys think that Paramount Plus will continue to see the benefit of the 6 million plus subscribers as we move forward? When Halo Season 1, everyone that's a Halo fan has already seen it and then doesn't resubscribe? Or is it that it's going to continue to do well throughout the course of like the next year and change? Because Season 2 for Halo is at least a year away.
Do we expect
it'll die out? It'll die out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I was saying too.
I think that's where, you start adding in they're adding a lot of content, in particular a lot of sci-fi content. They got a lot of Star Trek stuff on there.
But the Star Trek
So
stuff
I
was
don't
always
see-
there. It was there before.
Yeah, Star Trek
But
stuff was
they're
always
adding even
there.
more now, though.
Yeah,
Look,
but I mean,
let's
crap.
face it.
Let's be honest. If you had 85 million Star Trek shows and they added another 8, like I mean, it's still Star Trek. You know what I mean? Like I don't think that brings them in.
Star Trek is
They
still
only- they
great
only-
now.
And
They
I'm a Star Trek fan. I don't watch all the new stuff. I like more of the classic stuff. But nonetheless, like I don't see this Paramount Plus. I think Halo did its job. I think it got people's butts in the seats. It got them to jump up in subscribers count. And I think we're going to see a drop after after another couple of weeks when the Halo series is finished and waiting for season 2.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say, when is the next time you're going to get something as big with a name like that that's just going to get dropped into a service? And then also all the people that are in that service that played the game have access to a free month of Paramount Plus tied to their Game Pass
Exactly.
account. So how often is that going to
Everybody
happen? Yeah. So, so how often is that's going to happen? So the numbers are instantly going to go down as soon as this is over. The real telling thing is going to be when season 2 does come around. Maybe Xbox does another deal with them to do another free month of it or whatever. But if I was Paramount, I would be happy because guess what? They got paid no matter what for it being on that service and stuff like that. So they made money off of it. So we're not going to
Be clear, it really picked up. Like even if if you accept it for just what it is, it really picked up. Like and I'm seeing a lot of positivity for it now. I mean,
Are you
there's
talking
some
about the
people that don't like it. Yeah.
Oh no!
I thought it really picked
So
up.
here's what you're seeing, crap. The first 5 episodes were people said were horrible. The last 2 people have said they
First
came
4
or 4, pardon me.
people thought were bad,
Then they
yeah.
said 5 and 6 were okay.
It
Some
took them
people
a-
said it was great, right? Some people said it was great. You're always going to get everybody on both sides of the spectrum. But the problem is crap, you've said this a number of times, right? You've said, don't tell me to play a game for 15 hours and then it gets great. I'm at the point right now, we have 1 million shows on TV. Don't tell me I got to get to episode 5 or 6 before it gets great.
Trust me,
I don't care for that
I got people
stuff.
telling me that I just don't know how to watch the Batman if I don't, right? Like you just don't know, you don't know how to watch it. You like
need
the Bale,
You
the
need
Bale
to drink
Batman,
6
right? Yeah.
Mountain
The
Dews.
Batman is great, man.
Boring.
What? Great.
How could you say?
Oh,
How
man.
could you say it's boring?
And that thing
How
couldn't
could you
be-
say it's boring? You just don't know how to watch the Batman. Get out of here. Last time I checked, the Batman wasn't 140 pounds soaking wet. Get out of here.
It literally took me 3 days of watching that before I finished it.
Horrible.
I was like,
Horrible.
Y'all
Well, I won't say it
Uh-oh,
was
Jay
horrible.
Bar-
but-
Jay, come on, Jay,
listen,
what did you like about Jay? I've watched the
horrible.
Batman now. I went and saw it in the theater, and I've watched it twice on HBO. I got to tell you, it gets harder each time I'm watching. I thought it was okay. It's getting tougher. Jay, what am I missing?
Are you guys like Batman fans? Or?
Yeah,
Not-
but
well, I mean,
Yeah.
yes, but not. I don't have every comic and all that good stuff.
No,
but-
no, it don't gotta be the comic, but
Okay.
just in itself, he is doing like detective work. That doesn't appeal to you as Batman fans.
It
Like, I
does,
don't
but not
understand
maybe
it.
not to that length.
Not to that length.
Yeah.
dude.
I mean, that was a good.
I
of
mean-
a 3-hour movie. It was 2 hours. It was like watching Columbo with a mask.
It was slow. It was so like even this footstep, the way everybody moved was slow. Like, did they slow it down half speed or so? You know, it just was so. Oh my gosh, it was so bad.
Listen, I don't think it was an awful watch. I want to clarify. I mean, I did
It
watch it
wasn't
3
awful.
times,
Hey,
but
it
it
was
wasn't
better than the Nipples movie.
It was a long movie,
Yes.
but in my opinion, I felt like it was worth it. It was worth it. Like the Riddler himself, as far as like, you want him to figure out the Riddler in
I couldn't take that guy
scenes?
seriously. He was in this movie, Girl Next Door. He played a guy character named Klitz. I don't know who, like that. Probably not a lot of people have seen that movie, but like I can't take the guy seriously
Just
in
the
anything
name
else.
you
You know what
said
I
is
mean?
great.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That was
Yeah,
his,
but
with a Z.
what you was talking about with Paramount Plus, like the subscriptions went up. I mean, it's kind of common sense too with that, because I think Halo, as much as Halo is in the state right now, Halo is a big franchise. So seeing that that TV show going to a service like that, of course people's gonna subscribe just to watch it.
Yeah.
And is it gonna die down? Maybe, but if they can sustain, like in season 2 or whatnot. Like me personally, I tapped out when I saw my man Master Chief ass. I was like, yo, hold up, I gotta tap out of it.
You see Jin's ass in Ghost
yes.
Guardian.
Hey,
But
man,
Tsushima.
listen.
but let's not.
Jen,
let's not
that's a
look
new
at
character.
Chief's
That's
ass.
a new character.
No,
Like,
I
yo,
hear
real
you,
talk,
man.
real
I
talk.
hear you.
I felt like episode 1 was a good, in my opinion. I know a
I
lot
did
of
too.
Halo,
I thought it was decent.
I thought
a lot of Halo fans was feeling it, but the reason why I didn't like it when I watch it again, it's like I don't like the whole reveal of revealing his mask. You know what I mean? Like, yo,
Yeah.
you should
But
have
how do you
waited
get
until
an
like
actor, somebody that's just going to act behind a mask all the time? I don't think that. I think that would be
look
hard.
at the Mandalorian.
Take
How many
Timothy-
episodes it took for him to say,
That's true.
But here's the thing with Mandalorian,
up.
though, right?
Build
What
it
people
up.
don't understand is Pedro Pascal. He's hardly there to film it, and his big issue. I don't know if you guys have heard about the behind the scenes issues. Is that he wants to have the mask off more, so that's why they started taking off the mask. The only time he's actually there is when you see him in the outfit with the helmet off. He's not doing the stunts. Actually, John Wayne's son or grandson is doing most of the stunts. In fact, I don't know if you guys watched Book of Boba Fett, but when the Mandalorian was in that, it's not Pedro Pascal at all. It's John Wayne's grandson the entire time, and Pedro Pascal just doing the voiceover. That's why he never takes off his mask the entire time.
I just feel
Interesting.
that
Yeah.
a build up like that, especially as gamers is like we don't know how Master Chief looks.
I hear
underneath
ya.
that mask. The way how you revealed that in the first episode, that was corny.
They just wanted to pull the Band-Aid off of all the fans in the first episode. My problem was because I ain't watched this since the 3rd episode. Once that man walked around
the
for
ass
4
episode.
Yeah, but once that man walked around for 4 complete episodes with no helmet on, I was done. I was like, I said, okay, I can excuse one episode. Oh, I can excuse another one. Oh,
Well,
now you showing me your butt.
It seemed
Now
like they were sticking it to fans a little bit because he puts his helmet on, drives in the Jeep for 10 seconds,
And
and
then
then
takes
takes
it
the
right
helmet
back
back off. I'm like, they're just messing with the fans at this point.
I was
But
like,
it did really pick up there for a couple episodes.
No, I don't care what I heard. Last week's episode was actually pretty interesting at the end of it. But you know what? I'm just gonna wait until this whole thing is over because I
Yeah,
refuse.
that's smart.
How many
said I-
episodes are in the first season, guys?
10 episodes.
10?
Okay, that's a good number. Okay.
So
I'm old enough to remember when a season was 24
Oh
episodes.
crap! Yeah,
It's like,
it's like
Back in the days, that's the back in the days of Lost
Yeah.
and 24.
that's
yeah.
like bringing up
Yeah.
Excitebike.
Speaking
man, I used to watch like Smallville. They used to have like 24 episodes or 22 episodes.
Smallville was
and
my
stuff.
shit. That was
Yeah.
Speaking of 24, I literally just watched my marathon run of that earlier this year, all 8 seasons of it.
Yo, Forte,
Hey,
no lie, I do that every year.
Every year.
That's my favorite
Hey,
show all
Rick,
the
my
time.
favorite
here's the
TV
thing. I still like Smallville, but I can't watch it anymore since that girl Chloe got like sent to jail for like being in a cult and
Wait,
stuff. Like, I have
Smallville's still
trouble-
on?
No. But
Oh,
they had
no.
they had 10 seasons, and like I have like I'll watch them sometimes, like
Yeah.
just to for whatever, but just to have something playing. And then but the girl who played Chloe in that is actually in jail right now for being in a cult and like branding women and like a sex cult and stuff. It's crazy.
I tapped out.
Yeah.
I tapped out at season like 7 in Smallville. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was
Yeah.
when Lex Luthor and left and Lana left, right? And then they. But I actually kind of liked what they did with some of it. But it's like, damn, 10 years to see that man fly. Jeez.
So there's an over/under, guys. The audience is going crazy right now on the panel because we're talking about Master Chief's cheeks. Everyone's saying, "You just wait." A lot of the Xbox guys are like, "You just wait. You're going to see Joel's rear end." I don't think so. I don't think they're going to go there.
I don't have no high hopes for
It's
that
a-
show either, to be
A
honest.
stunt,
with you.
Well,
stunt ass.
I'm hoping it does well. I'm biased
with
though. I
this Neil
love The
Druckmann.
Last of Us. I mean, I see people online being like, "Who the hell would buy a remaster of The Last of Us again?" And meanwhile, here's me on Twitter as I'm reading it. My right hand's going up. Me. I mean,
that's a cop. That's day one.
well,
Day
I'm
one.
just
Yeah.
my entire
me.
shelf behind me. I've got all Last of Us everything behind me. I mean, books.
I can't do
got
the first one again. The
every
second one was so
statues,
the second one was so superior, even in the gameplay and the whole aspect of it. Like I
But you
I
wouldn't
couldn't go
like.
back.
You know
wouldn't
what's
want them
funny,
to
Crap?
redo the- You wouldn't want them to redo the first one in the engine of the second one.
I mean, if they would they take away the part where you gotta like help Ellie across the
No,
water
it's a
all the
remake.
time on the little
No,
like
no, they're not going to
not a
stop
remake.
that crap.
like
Yeah,
that
it's a
was my
remake,
main
not a
problem.
It's a remake, right? Not a
It's a
remaster.
remake. not a
Yeah,
remake.
like the problem was it was like the it was clunky controls for me in the first one, and also some of the gameplay stuff. It's like, you know what? Listen, that's not a deal breaker, but I already played it right before I played through 2,
Right.
so I don't really feel the need to go back because I actually like 2 much
Well,
better.
how are they, let me ask you a
So-
question, guys. No, this is a big. And Jay Barry, I know that Gaming Persona probably can't hear us right now. He's probably in the movie, but this is something that Gaming with Brian or
Hey,
Brian that
Mooch.
games. He always asks. Yes.
I just want to say that I'm looking at your God of War gameplay, and I remember this part so vividly.
Buddy, this was
Bro,
iconic. and
this gameplay just for giving me all the feels for PS3, bro.
you know, everyone is loving this. I enjoyed playing through this immensely. I'm actually going to go through it again. I'm trying to get the plat. I'm 10 trophies off. I got to play it through one more time.
They throw those trophies at you in that game.
They did with the initial ones. You're right, Crap, but they do make it. You have to play it on. You have to play it on the hardest difficulty. And there's a couple of them, like the 1,000-hit combo. I still have to work on getting. I've gotten up to like 200, but I've never gotten 1,000. There's got to be a trick to it that I'm missing.
Yeah.
Now, there's a specific area you can go where you can like just.
That was such a
loot,
good game, man. I just like the newer style better. But back then that was.
This is the one that made me fall in love with it. Then I went back and played the original ones after I beat 3. And then I just fell in love with God of War after that.
Yeah, this one, I got to be honest with you. So what I'm thinking, the minute I get this plat, I want to actually try. We have the summer. We've got months here. We get some of your backlog. I want to go through and play the 2018 God of War again. And I'd like to get the plat in that. Because you really get an appreciation now for the 2018 one if you went and played the first 3 again. Like, there's just something there that I think, because I had left the first 3 so long and didn't even finish some of them, like that left an emptiness when I was playing the 2018. That's me. That's a me issue. Not saying that happened to everybody else that tried this game out. Now, I don't remember exactly where I was going before. I think we were talking about The Last of Us.
Yeah, no, the remake and stuff like that, right? But speaking of God of War,
I got a question for you too, Chris.
I think God of War. Is that what you gonna ask me about? The
No,
remake?
go ahead, Chris.
Okay, I think God of War 1 remake, for me personally, I feel like that's more needed than the Last of Us 1 remake, honestly, because there's a lot of new people that just got into God of War in 2018. Obviously, sold 20 million, right? Way more than all the other God of Wars. So, you know, and people don't really know the whole backstory and the origins of Kratos becoming the God of War and stuff like that. So I think a God of War 1 remake will be amazing. I think that's more needed than the Last of Us remake.
I would sign up for that, but I don't know if me and you, Chris, might be the only camp in that camp. But I would definitely buy that day one and play it. Because I know exactly what you mean. That lore and everything that when I was playing God of War, I understand it's different. It's the Norse mythology versus the Greek, but nonetheless, it's enough of a correlation between the two, and learning the hatred and that power that really is within Kratos. That you
but it's the same Kratos, right? The one in 2018 is the same one from...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But you know what I was saying real quick, I'll just touch on the Last of Us stuff. And then Chris, I do have a question for you as we switch subjects. Crap had said that, you know, after playing The Last of Us 2, he'd find it very hard to go back, which, by the way, a shout out to Babor. He says, Zeus, the end is the 1,000 hits. Thank you, Babor. I will, because I got to play it through again, which is not a problem. I will do that. I honestly, tell me if you guys are on the same page with me here. I have played through The Last of Us, the first one, probably 5 times now, all the way through 5 times. I've played The Last of Us 2 twice, all the way through. I platinum both. I personally liked the first one better. Am I alone?
Like the story better?
Yeah, you're probably alone.
I'm probably alone, right?
Are you talking?
I'll tell you why, Mooch. I'll tell you why.
I didn't hate. By the way, I
Because-
love The Last of Us 2. I'm saying the first one for me was more of that. If you will, give me this 1 second to explain. It was the you remember the first 3-4 seasons of The Walking Dead when it was truly the humans versus the creatures, and then in the latter part was the humans versus the worse humans. Okay. Now I think that the first one was more nitty gritty with survival, and then yes, we did touch on a human aspect, but the clickers and the infected were a much more resilient group, and it felt more like a survival. When it was this one here, it was more about revenge and story. Yes, of course, the infected were a part of it, but it was different. It was more, like I said, The Last of Us 2 was like the last 5 seasons of The Walking Dead, and The Last of Us, the original one, was like the first 5 seasons. I really felt like that's the difference, and I'm trying to give the audience a way to correlate my thought process. Go ahead, Jay.
Well, I'll tell you this. What it really was, right, is the first game ended in that same old cliche ending that every game ends in, right?
True.
The father and the daughter relationship went out and yada yada yada. That same thing, right? Every game has that feel good type thing. Part 2 did the opposite. It
Correct.
It totally turned your world upside down. So everything that you love from part 1, the people that you grew to love,
Yes.
right, for over 5-6 years from part 1, you ended up hating and not liking in part 2, and it was just so dramatic and chaos, and it was such a roller coaster of how they played
Agreed.
with your emotions and your mind with
100%.
it, where part 2, I mean, you can't possibly go back to part 1 because part 2 just it totally erased everything.
Okay, so
that you thought
Jay,
you
allow me
knew
to ask
about
you a
it.
question then. When you finished The Last of Us Part 2, were you
Yes.
Team Ellie or Team Abby?
I was Team Abby,
Me too.
and
Me
I'll
too.
tell you why. I'll tell
Team
you
Ellie,
why.
Team Ellie.
Oh,
Let-
Jay
let me-
Bari.
Yes, sir.
Let me tell you
Team
why The Last of Us remake is needed. And I know a lot of people say, well, we did the remaster. I get it. Remasters, yeah, we get the remasters, right? The game launched on the PlayStation 3. They remastered it for PlayStation 4. We get that. But here's the thing. They have a TV series that's coming out. They're going to want to take people that don't know what The Last of Us is, that never played The Last of Us. They want to get the other crowd that are not even gamers, and they're going to get them hooked on that. So guess what? You do a remake of the Last of Us 1. That'll bring people up to speed where by the time, if they launch those in tandem, I mean, that's going to be a recipe for success where people are caught up. What is this Last of Us stuff about? That's just my take.
The sales
I
pitch.
I agree. I agree with J-Dub 100%. That's the goal. It's the story. What you guys are talking about. Last of Us Part 1 story is better than Part 2. Part 2 is just an overall better game, gameplay wise and mechanics and all that
yes.
stuff. But
Yes.
I adored Last of Us Part 1 story. I love the story in Part 2 as well, but
Think
yeah,
about
Part 1 is better.
think about
for me
there was a lot of ups and downs emotionally in both games, but if you could just take a second, guys, and just go back down memory lane, the initial opening scene in the first one and the ending scene in the first one,
Yes.
I think even hit harder than the golf club. Okay, I'll put it that way for those of you that didn't get there in the second one.
Yeah.
They really hit
and
the heart.
the reason why I'm Team Ellie is that I'm playing Ellie with 2 games. I like Abby as well. She definitely got to me. When you played her more, but I can't forget about my journey with Ellie with Part 1 and then in Part 2. I want
That was
revenge
where
too.
I was tearing myself apart, Bari. That's the thing. Because I'm with you with that. Here we are. We trucked through this journey with her 2 games. And here I am at the end. I'm finding that when Joel walked into that room, listen, I'm The Last of Us 1. If you haven't played it yet, that's a you problem. At the end when he walks in, he pops that right surgeon. To me personally, Joel did everything right. But when we see what the Fireflies actually were, out there in the mid-states, okay?
Yeah.
They were not this evil group that we thought they were from the entire first half, which kind of, Jay, takes a little bit away when you said we played as LA twice. Kind of takes a little bit of that away because we didn't know the whole story.
Yeah,
you know?
when we found out, right? When we found out that they were actual scumbags and they weren't the good guys that we thought they were, that changed the dynamic. But I'll be honest, I'm going to tell you the turning point for me with Ellie.
Mm.
The turning point for me with Ellie, right? And I get it, right? This girl was what, 12, 13 years old. She was a little girl.
That's right.
In the first
one,
part.
yes.
And she had to endure, something so traumatic. So of course she grew up to, have PTSD and everything. But when she saw Abby at her like lowest point in her life, hanging up on that, and I guess like Mooch said, that's a you problem if you hadn't played part 2. When she saw her hanging up, right? Clearly she's been beaten up. She's thirsty. She's hungry. She's probably been raped a few times. It's just the worst case scenario. So she cut her down, and I'm thinking that they were gonna go off together. They had this horrible journey, and Ellie still wanted to fight and kill her. I'm like, oh my, Ellie, like, let it go. You left. You left the best part that you had.
Yes.
It cost her everything, really.
Exactly.
It did crap.
And I tell you, and Abby was a goner if it wasn't for Ellie having PTSD and having that flashback of Joel that paused her. But it really, again, this game could have went out in the sunset if her and JJ and Dina, right? If they would have just stayed in the house and lived happily ever, that would have been the similar ending to what happened in part 1. But they said, nope, guess what? We're finna turn this shit again. We're finna turn it around again. And that was the genius. That was the genius of what they did with The Last of Us. And I can't wait for the TV series.
Oh my God.
I think it's going to be successful and the only reason I think it's going to be successful is because the guy who directed part 1 and part 2 is helping make sure that this thing is going to be in the way that he wrote it, in the way that he wanted directed. And that's why I think, because Neil Druckmann is there day in and day out, that's the only reason I think that this TV series is going to be pretty good.
That's the thing. That's what I was going to say. The fact that Neil was on set so much is what really alludes to, I think, a quality product.
You know what? It's interesting how the end of that game made everybody have a completely different frame of mind, because the fact that I left that house when Dina was there and I went back and went across pretty much the whole freaking continent to go look for Abby, and I find her, and I got her sitting in the river about to cave her head in, and then she has this epiphany with Joel and says, I'm not gonna do it. And then you go back to the house and Dina's not there. I instantly was like, this was I said, why?
Why?
What was the purpose? It's like you all, I mean, I'm not going to say it was like a waste of time because it was an experience that you got a chance to experience. But like in my mind, as a person that was put in that situation, I was sitting there like, I feel like I just literally wasted time.
That's what, you know what it was? So I'm kind of with Forte on that. When we took Ellie at the end there, and I'm not going to ruin the end sequence, but do you remember you had to go through that last, like, what's the word I'm looking there? Like Survivor, like hangout there?
Yeah.
And I was like, please tell me when I walk through here, all these dudes are dead. But weren't they back again? Did you have to fight some dudes as Ellie?
You had to do, because the first time the first time you went through, you saw the death and carnage, but then when you go through again, you see it from Ellie's point of view.
Yeah, from Ellie's point of view. And I was like, listen, let me tell you, I was like, this game, I will say that game, it went a little bit, and that was the other thing, Jay, that I kind of put I give the tip my cap to the first one, was I thought the second one was it was long. I thought The Last of Us 2 was a long game.
The second one was like 2 games, really.
Right, crap.
It was a long game. They could have broken up and been like Last of Us Part 2, Part 1, and then The Last of Us 2, Part 2. They could have.
The original Last of Us was like a long game too. That was like a 15, 20-hour game. Last of Us Part 2 was like a 40-hour game though.
Yeah, it was long.
No, well, my playtime was actually different. My playtime for The Last of Us 1 I played it on hard. I think it was like 13 hours, and then on The Last of Us 2, which I also played it on hard, it took me like 23 hours to get through that. As far as Last of Us, right? I enjoyed the sequel overall more than the first one, but I can definitely see why people appreciate the first one more, especially like the story and the pacing of that game and everything like that. Because even the ending of that game, right? Yeah, it was a happy ending for Joel, but for everybody else, no, it wasn't. He just murdered the whole goddamn hospital. Ellie was supposed to be the cure for all of this shit, and then he lied to her, and everything like that. So for everybody else, no, it wasn't a happy ending, but for Joel, yeah, it was a happy ending because he got.
I never liked Joel in the first movie.
Oh, come on, crap!
Yeah, I didn't. I never liked him. I was like, that's why I wasn't upset because of what happened in the second one. I was like, okay, well, the guy straight up and, as far as I could tell, just murdered a bunch of people kind of for a selfish reason. He didn't even seem to care about her to begin with, like for the longest time in that game.
It was after Tess. After Tess.
Remember his daughter died, right? So over time, she became his daughter.
She fulfilled that hole in his heart. I agree.
Void.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you know what though, Jay? In Crap's defense, it wasn't until after Tess, because I mean they didn't want to talk about it, and they didn't. But I think they had some sort of a relationship, like Joel and Tess, at some point. And when Tess was gone, I think that at that point he was alone, and that's when he really took Ellie on as that daughter figure.
The other thing I'd say though is I like the original God of Wars as well, like 3 and 2 and 1 and all those, and even the PSP games are really good. But I didn't like Kratos as a character. I thought he was an ass. I didn't care about him whatsoever. The new one actually makes you give a damn about him as well, which I thought was something that wasn't possible to have, characters kind of evolve. That character was so one-dimensional before. It was just kill, didn't care about anything.
No, I don't think he was all the way one-dimensional before. Like if you play some of the PSP game when he's talking with his daughter or even with Pandora and stuff like that, he had different layers to him as well. But everybody, of course, back then
it was nearly as much depth as he had in the 2018.
No. In 2018, they take those little parts that he had back then, those real small moments, right? And then they just made him, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just a better overall character.
They tried to give him more depth in Ascension, but I don't know. It just seemed it didn't seem like a full.
Did you play through 3, Crap? The one that we just saw?
Yeah. I played through it multiple times.
Okay, I thought 3 really put Kratos into a perspective that anger and that heat that he had built inside of him because of his family and all that stuff. You can even see how the other gods constantly poked him.
He kills innocents and stuff. You know what I mean?
He does kill innocents.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
He does. He's just you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is why we need a remake of the first one.
There you go, Chris. Well, wait.
He likes to bang get busy with the QTEs with the hose.
Maybe with the
get those red things.
Yeah.
Maybe with the God of War movie, they'll come out with the remake.
That's a good point too. They might do that. Just same thing they're doing with The Last of Us, Chris. Absolutely.
Yeah,
but I like Jay.
I agree with Chris though. Kratos always had that depth. It's just now it's just more, I guess, more personal because now you see an actual family member with him. In 2018, but the same cause and purpose that you're fighting for in 2018, you're doing that in the old ones too. So
they do it in such when you're first playing through it. I don't know. It's such here and there. Yep. Most of the time, you're just going around killing things. That's why I think I liked the 2018 one better. It was just he's teaching him everything is revolving around him.
2018 put a legitimate story with Kratos. Period.
Yeah, but it was I wasn't a big Bioshock fan either until the third one where you actually, which I played through that one multiple times, where you have, and I didn't think I'd like it because you're Bioshock Infinite.
I agree with you 100% with that.
I for some reason I just couldn't get it. I don't know. It was I think the first two were kind of scary to me for something. I don't know. I didn't like them nearly as much as I liked Infinite. Man, Infinite I thought was just such an interesting thing, and then you had that person. I just think I like the game where you have
the part crap that you get. It hits you in the I wouldn't use the word feels, but when you're playing, because I've played all the Halo Bioshocks, pardon me. I played all the Bioshocks.
I know you.
And in all honesty, when you play Halo or Bioshock Infinite, it legitimately goes back to Rapture. It takes you back to Rapture. If you
Yeah.
really didn't play 1 and 2, you miss a little bit of that kind of Ken Levine magic that he sprinkled into there. I think that Rapture is by far the better, in air quotes, utopia that never could exist, right? Because it certainly wasn't Columbia. Columbia couldn't pull it off. Rapture, they tried, and you could see through the different levels of Rapture how different like groups, I don't know if you use monarchs or whatever you want to say, took over and made these evil like areas, and they all like were against Ryan. I'm kind of going off on a rant here, but nonetheless, I could see where Infinite is definitely your favorite one. But I think a lot of people would agree with you. But the original Bioshock is by far the best one for me.
Yeah, I know
personally.
people. I didn't play that one until later on. I was like, I played Infinite. I think I played Infinite first, to be honest with you.
Well, a lot
and
of
then I
people
kind
did.
of went back.
Infinite was my first. I have the remasters on the PS4. I just haven't played the original.
I platinumed.
Oh yeah,
I platinumed
the
the first remaster. I'm going back to do the second one. Hopefully this summer. It's on the list. We'll see.
My thing is, man, like
Yeah.
sometimes there's something comforting about playing through a game where you have a companion with you in the game, like an NPC.
Yeah.
Like I just prefer that kind of, you know what I mean? Like I don't know, in certain games.
well,
especially.
that's what made them different. Like to me, like I
Good
enjoyed
point.
the first one. I enjoyed the first one in Infinite. The second one had a cool concept, but the way they executed wasn't really that great.
I think
for
it was
me,
a different
right?
team that did
It
the
was
second
a
It
one,
was a
right?
different team. It
It
had a good
was.
concept because you play as a big daddy, right? That was like
You're
that
a
was the
big
main
dad.
character,
You're
right?
the big daddy.
Like
yeah.
the first game is like, you know, you're alone, so you're somewhat more isolated and stuff like that. Then the guy talking to you, the only friend you had was the guy talking to you the whole time. It turns to find out that he was controlling you the whole time and shit like that, right? It had that spooky atmosphere.
Yeah.
Then in Infinite, it was different than that, right? And then you had the Booker and whatever her name is, right? That whole
Elizabeth.
duality, Elizabeth duality and stuff like that, and it had
That
different.
story was crazy though.
Yeah,
I
and-
love
and-
that
yeah,
Like,
shit.
when you
Oh,
find
but
out
the-
like that it's you, I was like, whoa, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I remember when I beat that game. I put the control down. I was like, wow, that was
Yeah.
really good.
That was
It's
twi-
crazy.
It
I
was
like
twisted.
The first one-
I
The first
love
one
the
was crazy too.
traversal.
Yeah.
Like the traversal was
Yeah,
really
yes.
cool. In that
I
where you could get-
always wanted to go back and play the first two for sure. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have them.
Yeah.
but
The first one has a crazy twist as well too, and I think the second one has a pretty good twist as well too.
Yeah, not as much as the
Oh,
first
yeah.
and the third. Because like
Yeah,
you
not
guys
as
were saying,
much, well.
The second one was definitely done by a different team. Ken Levine was not involved, and you could really see that what 2K did was they literally copied and pasted the first one. But like Chris is saying, instead of being the character, you are now a big daddy, which is an interesting spin on it. But I didn't think it was enough to constitute like it's definitely the third of the three. I think it's it goes for me it goes 1, 3, 2. Other people would say 3, 1, 2. That's fine. I think either
Yeah,
is
1,
respectable.
3, 2.
For me,
Yeah,
it's
1,
1,
3,
3,
2 for
2,
me.
but I could see Crap saying 3, 1, 2. That's fine.
Yeah.
I want to ask Chris Righteous a question just before we this last topic was a big hot subject here. Final Fantasy 16, the trailer is nearing completion.
Sure.
And going to you, he is the Square Enix guru here tonight. Are we gonna in your personal opinion, Chris, are we seeing Final Fantasy 16 in 2022?
As far as like it releasing in 2022,
Correct.
no. My predictions is early 2023. He did. Yoshi P did come out and said that they were in like essentially like they were in like the final polishing phase. Some people like there was a little mistranslation that happened that it said that he said that the game was pretty much done.
Yeah.
But no, Audrey she corrected that, and that's not exactly what he said. But he did say that the trailer is done. Right, the next showing of the trailer is done, but the showing of the trailer got delayed, so we probably would have already seen it. But honestly, I think it's gonna be an early 2023 release. I think they're gonna announce it in June.
Mhm.
And then it's going to be an early 2023 release, like in February.
So, Chris, the reason I asked you, and I'm glad you kind of said that because I want to go to J-Dub. Jay, we were talking about this earlier. With I think it's all but certain that God of War Ragnarok releases end of this year. If that's the case, realistically, you have a very finicky situation here, right? So, if in fact, let's say Chris, by the way, I'm only saying this to just counter your point for topic situation. But if we go ahead and say that Final Fantasy comes out and Ragnarok comes out, which goes where? Is there a September, November? Is it October, November? Both in October? How do they release these?
Forspoken is on October
Spoken is
Well,
October,
as well.
so
Forspoken's October. So when would God of War release?
September,
Yeah,
September and November.
that's what I was thinking. September.
I'll be honest. I want God of War to release 11/11/2022.
Oh yeah, I think that's
November 12th.
classic.
That's the date.
That's classic. I think they should too. Let's let the battle of the big boys go for it.
Yeah.
That would be
Because
interesting.
if Final Fantasy 16, right? Like, is going to be PS5 only. So that is going to be like the premier, like, next gen, like the best next gen RPG game that's coming out. No other next gen RPG that's coming out, whether this year, next year, right?
Absolutely.
Final Fantasy 16 is going to be the best RPG for next gen.
So wait, here's my question for you, real quick, Chris. Is if you since you've played all of the Final Fantasies, if so, like myself, I'm going to use myself as an example. I played about 5 hours of 15. If I didn't finish 15, am I able to walk into 16 and enjoy this as a separate story, or am I going to be missing something because I neglected 15?
No, that's the beautiful thing about Final Fantasy is each one is completely different. So each one has a completely different story, completely different setting, completely different themes and stuff like that. The only ones that are continuations are the ones with like the part 2 in their names, right? So of course, 7 Remake Part 2, 13 Part 2, 10 2, and stuff like that. Those are the ones that, like, yeah, you got to play the previous ones. But no, and especially with like now this Final Fantasy 16. Since they got the Devil May Cry 5 combat director, and also he also worked on Dragon's Dogma as well. I think this game is going to be crazy with the gameplay and the combat and the different things you can do, on top of having very in-depth RPG mechanics. The only thing that we got to see, and obviously with this new trailer that's about to release, which I know is going to be a substantial trailer, like we're going to get a lot of information in this trailer, and that's typically what Square Enix does, right? They even spoil a lot of things in the trailer. All their trailers have spoilers in it, but the only thing I'm wondering about is like, yo, is it gonna be just a solo character, or is it gonna be like every single Final Fantasy game, like or at least every single mainline Final Fantasy game, and we're gonna have a party of characters that we can also control as well. I'm open-minded to the solo as long as it's like I can choose different job classes and stuff like that for Clive, because I know it's gonna be very in depth like that because it's the 14 team.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and they have a lot of different variety with different classes and stuff like that. But I think it's going to be a party there that you're going to be control. But I'm super excited for it. And the team that's working on it is a team that actually made a super compelling story in an MMO setting, which is super hard to do. Everybody that I know that talks about 14, when you talk to them, what's the favorite part of the game? Every single one of them says the story. They say the story is just absolutely crazy. So imagine that in like a single player environment as well too. So they're gonna snap, and it's the first M-rated mainline Final Fantasy game. So Yoshi P said it.
Okay.
He said it's for the people who grew up with Final Fantasy, face tough situations in life. Go ahead.
I grew up playing 1, 2, and 3. I know that everybody's gonna laugh at that the same way they laughed at my Excitebike example, but I played 1, 2, and 3 over and over and over again in my youth. Right? Those are my favorites. I know they're the SNES games. You guys are all gonna laugh, but my point being is that when it comes down to it, when you say this is going to change, it will change. So the fighting will change. Of course, it sounds like the content and the story
it's not
going to
be
change.
Turn-based.
Is or is not?
No, it's not going to be turn-based. No.
No, I know. I wouldn't figure it to be. So I mean, but Chris, did you think 15 was a good Final Fantasy?
Okay, so for 15, I thought it was a decent game. It was just an underwhelming Final Fantasy game for me personally, but I grew up with it. There are people that play 15 and absolutely really enjoyed it, and they enjoyed the boy band aspects and stuff like that, and the story and things of that nature. But no, it was an okay game. I would say that. I think 7 Remake is way better. I think 7 Remake is one of the best ones that they've ever done. So
7 Remake is phenomenal, but I mean, as far as that definitely takes the cake. I didn't really care for 15. I just stopped playing it. J-Dub or J-Barry, Forte, did you guys play 15 to its finish?
I enjoyed 15, but I understand like the most diehard Final Fantasy guys. I understand the issues that they had with the game and why they didn't think it was good.
Yeah, I mean, Barry, did you play that, or is Final Fantasy not your bag?
Final Fantasy is not my
That's it. You know, Jay Barry is just as big of an FF fan as me.
Listen,
right?
I gotta
We're
get
equal on that.
Jay riled up. It's after 9 in New York.
What? Mooch?
I know.
Listen.
I had to ask. No, Jay, what did you think of 15 though? Did you think 15 was it one of your favorites, or you played it through and you thought it was okay?
I felt like it was an okay game. I agree with Chris' sentiments. But as a Final Fantasy game, story wise, I felt like it's one of the weaker ones that I've played.
Yeah.
I play all of them, but story wise, it's weak. But to combat my man Chris Righteous here, because me and Chris, we love our Square Enix, we love our Final Fantasies, but I gotta disagree with my brother over
What did he
there,
say? What are you disagreeing with?
Final Fantasy 16 not coming out this year.
Yeah, I know.
You're
yeah,
not
he's
believing
under-
it.
Yeah.
I think it.
No. Listen, Mooch. Since last year, I've been telling people Final Fantasy 16 was dropping in 2022. Everybody's saying, "No, Jay Barry. No, Jay Barry. It's not gonna happen." I'm over here stating what Yoshi P is saying. I'm over here giving you guys actual quotes of what he's saying. And
I got a rebuttal for
Jay
that.
Barry. No, Jay Barry. Yoshi P said the next time that we show Final Fantasy 16,
Be done.
he said that he wants the game to be,
Right
people
after.
to ask, "Hey, can we pre-order this one? Can we get this?" And he's like, "Yes, you can pre-order it. You can play it here." There's no way I feel that they're gonna show this trailer, which I've been telling people that this game been complete, but they're just doing bug fixes since last year. I've been telling people that. Everybody just wait for Audrey, translations to, get that news out. But I mean, Chris, am I lying, Chris?
You also said that 7 Remake Part 2 was coming out this year as well too. So
I did say that, but I
you
pulled back
know
on
me,
it.
I've been right about a lot of this shit as well too. So
No,
no. Like
seven remake part 2. I was saying that more like a fan kind of thing, but 16, I'm saying that like this is more like a okay. Here's these points that this director is saying.
Yes,
it's gonna be here.
Mm-hmm.
I got but with that, right? He said that the next time he shows it, he's gonna want people to pre-order and for it to come out. Not too long after, right? Not too long after, right? Okay, so if they show it in June, right, and they say it's a February 2023 release date, what is that like? That's less than a year. That's like 7 or 8 months or whatever. That's still relatively soon. That's not really crazy long. Like people think it's gonna be like they announced it and it's like 3 months later. Like no,
you gotta go over the context too, right? What are they doing right now? They're in the final stages of development where they're doing bug fixes.
They're polishing. Yeah.
What's the reason why Forspoken got delayed?
Bug fixes,
Polishing
right?
and bug
Polishing, yeah.
Oh, you think that's a long process? It's not a long process what they're doing. Yeah, they're working hard to do it, but it's not a long process. That's you purposely delaying your game.
I think we're looking at final.
Oh, I always thought that was the case when they delayed that game too.
So
no, but listen, like this is what I think. If I'm wrong, I'm happy because I get to play it sooner, right? So it's a win for me.
It's a win-win. Yes.
Yeah. Right.
But I think when it comes down to it, I'll make my prediction is Final Fantasy September, Forspoken October. We know that's already done.
Oh no, Mooch, I'm gonna give you the date right here. Mooch.
Oh, you got the day?
I got the day.
Why weren't you next to me when I picked the 6 lotto numbers tonight? Go ahead, Jay.
Final Fantasy 16 is launching either or December 9th or December 16th.
In December?
God of War. Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
God of War.
Please.
Late August, beginning of September.
No way, August, Jay.
But I'll give him that because that's when I said
September.
that,
Yes.
Well, no,
remember, God of War release date
was come out before
in 2018 was announced in January.
In January,
yeah, and it released in April. Yeah,
it came out
in
April 20th. April 20th. Yeah.
Yeah, but what blockbuster game can we remember? And I know I got a panel here with an unbelievable memory. What blockbuster game came out in August?
Came out late July though, but Ghost of
Tsushima. It came out late July. I mean, the latest they really,
okay.
I mean, Spider-Man came out in September.
September is where I think we kick. That's where we kick off the holiday, right? I mean, Forte, that's you're the king. You're the king of this, man. You know this. I mean, September is when we kick off the holiday in retail. That's the way it is.
But at the end of the day, Chris said a great thing, man.
What did he say? He said a lot of great things.
Square Enix fans out there, we are eating this year. We are celebrating heavy. You know what I mean? Because it's also Valkyrie Elysium that's coming out, Diafield Chronicles that's coming out. They just last couple of months, they've been dropping games on the Switch, on PlayStation. Square Enix has been dropping games left and right. It's an amazing year, and we just got Kingdom Hearts trailer as well. It's gonna be an amazing year, man.
Yeah. And we're also gonna get the announcement of Seven Remake Part 2 this year, because they even said that as well too. Because we're in the 25th anniversary of Seven.
Yoshi, Katase,
Love
he did
hearing
say
these guys. The amount of knowledge on these guys with Square Enix is immense. I love it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Really and truly, when it comes to PlayStation, I view Square Enix just the same way. Like, I love Square Enix that much. You know what I mean? So, like, that's why I'm so, like, defensive, or I'm so, like, animated when it comes to their games, because Square Enix, that's like my childhood, just like, you know, PlayStation. All that.
I got
Me too. That's why I'm like, yo. That's why I'm grilling Sony. It was like, yo, y'all buy Square Enix? Y'all better not tell them to stop doing these other games as well too. Y'all better still let them do those games. You know what I mean? And shit like that. So
I got some super chats here because we're over the 9 o'clock hour. These are quick ones. I just wanted to kind of go over them. Shout out to C Mad again. He says the ACT deal has put he's really, I tell you, C Mad's got to have some sort of a degree. He says the ACT deal has put Microsoft Gaming on the sidelines, affording others to eat the appetizers. Unless a high straight flush comes in, they'll keep folding. So shout out to C-Mad. Appreciate all the help and knowledge he's thrown at us on the whole Activision Blizzard situation. Tactical Gamers here. He says Amazon, and he's discussing the Paramount Plus stuff here. I'm a little behind. Tactical Gamer says Amazon was also doing a subscription special, for Paramount Plus if you had Prime. So between what we were talking about on the panel, I remember Forte saying it. I know others were also agreeing with it. With all the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate getting that free month as well, and Amazon, that constitutes a lot of that 6 million bump up. Babor already discussed it. Zeus is the end. That's how you get the 1,000 hits. Thank you, Babor. God, I didn't even think about that. I should have kept on going. I was punching and punching and punching. I should have kept going until I got that 1,000 hit. Shout out to Sir X Man. He says, have fun setting up my Xbox Series X, which, by the way, Sir X Man, I'm glad you had fun setting up your new Xbox Series X, but really it only takes 5 minutes on your phone. So it was a good time, but it was a very short amount of time. Shout out to Sir X-Man. He says, I will be putting Rock Band 4 on quick resume. You know, let me ask you guys a question. You guys might know this.
Rock Band 4.
Well, Forte, let me ask you. If you wanted to play, if you were someone, let's just use the great Sir X-Man for this case, and you wanted to play Rock Band or you wanted to play Guitar Hero on your Xbox Series X, where can you get 2 guitars and the games that would be compatible with the system?
Oh, wow. There's a lot of places by me that has them, like any third mom and pop shop will probably have the guitars. I mean, probably Facebook Marketplace, honestly, for anybody, because everybody's trying to sell those peripherals because nobody takes them anymore.
Right.
Or hit me up because I still have a grip of them. I still have like 6. I have like 7 guitars and
like you personally, or
yeah,
your
me
store.
personally.
Okay.
Me personally have them. Because I always went out when every time they came out with a new set, I always bought the new drum set, the guitars and everything.
See, it's just the guitars that ever interested me. I thought they were. I really would like to see them bring it back. They got to bring a new one back.
I even bought for Rock Band 4 when they did, the 144 button guitar. I have that too.
God bless you, Forte. You're very talented. Very talented.
I wish. I just love Rock Band.
Yo,
Rock
Forte,
Band,
did you have DJ Hero?
bro.
You remember DJ Hero?
I did have DJ Hero. I still got the pad and everything, bro. Listen, man, those were the days, man. I can't even tell you.
I have friends that used to go ham with them.
I can't even tell you how much money I spent on tracks, bro. Because you can't even see your purchases for Rock Band anymore on Xbox One. But when you go into Xbox, like when you put like the Xbox 360 version in and you go look at the DLC, it's ungodly how much DLC I bought from Xbox when it came to that game, like $2 a pop. Full albums and stuff.
Maybe we'll get a new Guitar Hero in the next after Microsoft buys Activision. We'll see what happens.
Oh, that's actually true. I forgot all about them being a part of that.
That's right.
Shut it down. Shut it down.
That's right. Shut it down. Right, Jay Barry? I'm with you. It's only the 2 of us in line, but I'm with you. Shout out to TrueWiddy. He says The Last of Us 2 says revenge is good. Let it go. It's fantastic. Shout out to TrueWiddy. Appreciate that. Miko,
Shut that
says,
bungee shit down too.
Oh yeah, shout out your tweet being messy saying, yeah, go ahead, refund all that.
Yes, sir. Get that Square Enix.
Yo,
The
Jay's
fuck
great,
they doing?
man.
All that.
I love it. Whenever anything comes out, Microsoft, Blizzard, Activision, Jay's there 8 seconds later with a shut it down. I love it. I'm there 8 seconds later with a thumbs up. All right, then we got Miko says, people say The Last of Us 2 was a waste of time because at the end you gain a conscience and don't finish what you came to do, which is exactly what you did in The Last of Us 1. Yeah, I see that. I mean, I can see that. Miko with some. That's one hell of a super chat.
I mean, if you've been paying attention to the story, you can see why she got a conscience. You know what I mean, and they played the flashback just so you could.
Oh no,
you
you let him in.
I let BRAP. By the way, I'm letting you in, but BRAP has the Guinness World Book of Records for making a podcast last an extra 7 hours.
No, you.
Hey, look, I'm only here for a couple of minutes. I just want to say something quick. I want to give a big shout to my pony brethren here. Click clack, baby. Click clack.
Clickety
That's
clack.
Henny Brat right there. That's Henny Brat.
That's Henny Brat.
Yeah, it's Henny Brat. We got Bari. We got my man J Dub. Click clack, baby. Chris Righteous. Click clack.
Hey, he was trying to disown all y'all the other day on BRAP though.
See, that's not no.
He was up here making
it.
We was trying to hang him out the drive when it came to him and his poniness, but now he up here trying to make it seem like he won too.
Yes, sir. You got that Henny in him now.
I know he got a little bit in him.
no Henny. That's later on tonight. But I just wanted
nice.
Yeah.
BRAP, I think. Well, while you're here, let me read it out loud. The great BRAP is here. He sends a super chat. And he says, "Bari, what's that smell?"
That's that PlayStation fragrance.
That's disgusting. Sound like a bunch of sniffing dogs.
Yes, sir. Listen, Forte, I need you to play on your PlayStation more so you can smell it.
Oh yeah, I do need to play on. I'm actually playing Ghost of Tsushima right now, so
there you go. Spray that
Forte
fragrance.
Forte doesn't even own a PlayStation.
Yeah, you're right. Could I give you? I literally sold them all to you.
Yeah,
you did actually.
Forte used to prey on me. By the way, he'd call me up and be like, "Hey, Brad, man, I got."
Anytime my store needed to hit a percentage, I would call Brad.
He really would.
Well, let me do this. Well, while you're here, you can talk to Forte. Let me do some outros real quick because I know these guys. I promised them we get out at 9.
Hey, Mooch, I'm sorry, man. I got to go too. I just want to come and say hello to everyone.
Glad you stopped by. You know to always stop by, guys. If you got a key to the Discord, you always can swing by, guys.
Yeah. No, I got to catch tidbits of the show, but great show, what I caught. And everyone have a great weekend. I'm out.
Thank you, BRAP. And honestly, I got to reinforce what BRAP said. This was an outstanding panel. The 2 hours flew by, as you can tell, because we're at 2.5. I'll go in reverse order here, and I'll go with Chris Righteous. Chris, you said it before the show, and I got to be honest with you. I'm so grateful and happy that you were able to make it tonight. I really appreciate your insight. Love your enthusiasm in the gaming. And, man, I can't wait till you're back on the show. So shout out to you. Great job, as always, every week on the Saltiest Gaming Podcast. But, Chris, let everybody know where they can find you, and thanks for being here tonight.
Yeah, man, it was great, man. Happy to be back on here, and it's always fun, talking with you and the gang. You just find me on Twitter at Chris Righteous is my handle. I got the same profile pic as well. Like you said, you can catch me on Thursdays on Saltiest Gaming's podcast, as well as Wednesdays. I also show up on Kids Moves. Planet Xbox.
Shout out to Kids Move and Planet Xbox. Absolutely.
Always breaking his legs, man. I love being on there because I'm the PlayStation guy on there, but I always get to challenge Smooth on the stupid things he says.
That's always fun. It's always fun. Shout out to Smooth.
That's my guy. Yeah, that's my guy. But yeah, man. Appreciate it, man. Shout out to everybody.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that. And then I've got my boy here, Jay Dub City. Jay, honestly, like I said, big Cinco de Mayo weekend, Mother's Day weekend on Sunday. Don't forget, everybody, to take care of moms and your wives and your daughters. Give them a gift. Let them know you love them. Jay reminded me of that before the show. Jay, great to have you on the show tonight, as always. Jay, I talk to you throughout the week all the time. Love your takes. Love your enthusiasm as well. Let people know where they can find you, and I appreciate you being here tonight.
You guys can find me on Twitter, Kicking Up Dust. Y'all know what it is. Again, I'm officially retiring. Tomorrow will be my last day podcasting permanently, but I'm still on Twitter. I'm still visible. Y'all know how to reach me.
I appreciate you, Jay. Thank you so much. and the great Jay Bari. Jay, honestly, you got a big show tomorrow morning with the great Gaming with Persona and J-Dub City. So a little early promotion for everybody who wants to check out What's Up PlayStation. But Jay, listen, I love talking games with you. I've said this to you guys every time you've been on the show. I always listen to you guys on Saturday morning. The one thing that you guys bring to gaming, and it's kind of altered, you've brought a sense of that youth back into me and playing games. Because when you guys talk about games with such excitement, and you always talk about what's coming up, why you're excited for it, what brought you to that level of excitement, it just amps up. It just amps up this great hobby that we have. So, Jay Bari, let people know where they can find you, and I appreciate you being here tonight.
Yeah, man, appreciate the invite. It was a pleasure talking to my fellow PlayStation Nation brothers over here. You know what I mean? And shout out to Crap as well and Forte. It's always a good time talking to those guys. But yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter, JBari_, or YouTube, JBari, and on What's Up PlayStation podcast every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern time with my bro Gaming with Persona. It's gonna be a good one tomorrow because we got J-Dub in the house. You know, we're gonna talk about some of the stuff that we spoke about here, and some interesting topics, man. Because a lot of people they want graphics in next gen before next gen came, but all of a sudden a certain platform is not delivering. Now all of a sudden a certain feature is overrated. But
Interesting.
we're gonna talk about it, man. We're gonna talk.
I'll be in the chat first thing in the morning with a cup of coffee. Don't you worry about it, Jay.
Yes, sir, man. But yo, appreciate it, guys.
Thank you,
Also, I
Jay.
just want to let people know as well, man. If you guys are interested in like comic books and like the movie adaptation and stuff, like I'm bringing back my comics from comics to movies podcast, and we're gonna be doing the Doctor Strange review and like spoiler cast next week. If you guys are interested in checking that stuff.
Yes.
out. So,
Awesome, Jay. I'll definitely be a part. I'm listen. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be in the audience, and if it gets real good, I'm gonna do what BRAP did and be like, Jay, I'm in the Discord. But listen, no, I'm just saying.
we're gonna nerd out. We're gonna nerd out. Trust me, yo. You're gonna nerd.
Yo, it's gonna be great, man. Jay, I appreciate that. And of course, the great gaming Forte, who's here. Forte, who literally, I hope you got a bite to eat during this show, Forte, because you got home and it's been 2.5 hours since you parked the car. So Forte, thanks for being here tonight. Always enjoy all the work that you do, the knowledge you have in gaming. Let people know where they can find you. An outstanding DPS last night, by the way.
Yeah, man, definitely. It's great to be here with you guys, and shout out to Chris, Bari, and J-Dub City for being here. It's always great to be here with them. Crap always got to leave because Mooch always keeping us longer than he say he's gonna keep us. So shout out to him. But yeah, man, DPS podcast every Thursday night, 9 p.m. It was on Slow-Mo's channel last week. It's going to be on my channel this week. Sooner or later, we're going to make this thing our own channel, you know, because I'm looking at Jay Bari and I'm over there. I was like, man, we're going to have to make our own channel if we want this stuff to go like we want it to go. But we'll keep everybody posted on when that finally happens. But yeah, this is a great show. And the thing I always tell people, man, enjoy the games you're playing. Don't play Twitter unless you try to be messy for some reason. And you guys have a great week.
Yo, appreciate that. Appreciate that, Forte. Let me just do a couple quick plugs. You guys know BRAP, Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern. It's BRAP_podcast over on Twitter. _Crap Gamer. Crap had to leave a little bit early because I ran well over 9 o'clock. And it's Crap Gamer Reviews over on YouTube. And it's XBot448 on Twitter and YouTube. Again, thanks to this amazing panel. Thanks to the chat. Thank you guys for the super chats. It means the world. Please, on the way out, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Just hit a button. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy it with your families. Game some, and we'll see you next Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Good night, everybody.